Hello, Sonny.
Yo.
Good morning.
Morning.
I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah. 24 hours or so?
Happy New Year.
We're not there yet.
This is our New Year show.
Yeah, I guess it is.
2019 in review. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of operations for AutoMax Recruiting and Training, Mr. Joe Lockard.
Everybody. It's been, I haven't been up here for probably, I can't remember, 3 months?
Well, we're fulfilling your promise of being on once a month at minimum,
yeah, right.
which
yeah,
you
that was
committed to.
one of my goals and commitments for, I'm not saying New Year's resolution.
No.
I've talked about how much I hate New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, the word's bad.
It's just a goal.
Goal.
Yeah.
Outcome. I think Glenn Pash was maybe the last time you were in here. Maybe.
So what?
Was
that
it after
September?
that? No.
No. I wanted to bust Adam's chops on the way in, our producer Adam, because all I remember is one of the last times I was here, we were discussing Derrick Henry and what a bum he is. We didn't make it 3 minutes in without me bringing up sports, but Adam has been a huge Derrick Henry fan for fantasy football.
What did he end up with, 211?
How'd he do this year, Adam? Pretty good year? we really nailed that one this year, didn't we?
I think Dave's in there.
Oh, Dave's
Producer
in there.
Dave, yeah.
All right, yeah, so.
I can't believe
Clueless.
it. Poor Nick Chubb.
I didn't know until I woke up this morning that he
Yeah,
lost
me
it.
neither. Last year, he misses 1,000 yards on his last carry with a 5-yard loss or whatever it was, his rookie year. And then...
Talk about a Occam's razor season, man.
No kidding.
Wild stuff.
All right, so Happy New Year, everybody, and thanks for joining us on the Recruiter Podcast, the last one for 2019. We really appreciate your support. You guys have been really terrific. There are thousands of people that have watched these.
Yep.
We're on, Dave, what episode are we on there, Producer Dave? Do you know?
We're on number 37.
37,
Jeez, wow.
Thank you. And that was, that radio voice was from producer Dave here at All Systems Go AV. You guys are going to be hearing a lot about All Systems Go AV. They're located in beautiful Bensalem, Pennsylvania. That's where we're broadcasting from right now. These people are terrific. Car dealers, you want some first class, and I mean motion picture quality video at your dealership, you contact these folks at All Systems Go AV. Reach out to Joe or myself. We'll get you hooked up. These folks have got it going on. So they do an amazing, amazing job. Dave, what's the name of that department store in Doylestown that you guys just did that shoot in here a few weeks ago?
It was Fox and Holly.
Fox and Holly, yeah. That's like a work of art. Is that on YouTube somewhere?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You could find it in the Bucks County Herald. It's got over 2,000 views now, I think, but it's doing really well. Man, I tell you what, man, that is,
I saw it and it's like, man, this is impressive. And are they tied to Pine to Pink somehow with Fenneman? Or no?
Kind of. They're all in the Doylestown area, so everybody kind of contributes and helps out the Pine to Pink charity.
Yeah, it's awesome. You guys do awesome work, man.
Thank you.
And we appreciate what you do here with us in the show. So a couple things I want to get out of the way here and get cleaned up right away. Number one, if you would, first of all, please share this out. We really appreciate that. And the number of people watching this podcast is increased exponentially over the 9 months or whatever we've been doing it, and the 80,000 hours we've done on the podcast. But, like every broadcast, every podcast, thousands of people, whether it be Facebook Live or the audio platforms, which I want to talk to you about for a moment, if you would please. Whatever your favorite audio podcast forum platform might be, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, whatever it is, go there, upload the episodes. Is that an upload or a download? Upload, I guess.
Yeah.
And please leave us a review. We'd really appreciate that. It's really, I don't know. There's no other podcast like this. obviously in the automotive world, there are no long-form podcasts where it goes on for a while.
And recommendations, too. Reach out if there's something you want us to talk about, want us to
Yes.
do. We can only sit here and bitch about the Cleveland Browns for so long, guys. I mean,
we could do hours.
Yeah.
We could do hours.
There might be a second podcast, actually.
We could do that. We could do a sports podcast. We could.
Sadly, that would get more views than this would.
It would.
Just bitching about the Browns.
We
Just
could,
sad Browns fans.
Yeah.
I mean,
now that you
that would
say
really
that,
take
you
off.
and I have always had kind of a secret ambition about being a broadcaster or a sports radio
sure.
personality. There's no reason we can't do that.
No, my friends actually tried to do it about 5 years ago or so. I think they kind of left it be and it didn't really go anywhere. They weren't doing a live format like this, but that's really what the show was, is they just sat there and, as fans of Cleveland sports, bitched and complained about
Right.
everything that's wrong with Cleveland sports.
Right.
Um,
Right. We could take it another way and
Sports
just make
therapy.
it magical, put positive stuff out in the universe and see how that affects things.
yeah, I don't see anything changing.
No.
But no, anyway, I seriously, recommendations. We've had some good reach. It's been a good first year. We've had people coming out of nowhere. Speaking of football, have you mentioned our buddy for the Jaguars, the Jaguars director of marketing?
I
believe?
did. It's I forget what his exact title is, but I haven't talked to him in about a month. But he wants to be on the show.
Yeah, the I think he's the director of marketing. I'm pretty
think
sure.
you're right.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, he's head of something, but he became a fan of the show because he does have roots in the automotive industry. So
Right.
it just caught his ear, and it's been a good first year. But we're open to any and all discussions. So if you have recommendations, suggestions, shoot them out there.
Speaking of recommendations and suggestions, we are looking for original music
Absolutely.
for the beginning of the show, for an intro and then an outgo. I think that's what you call it, or an
Outro.
outro of the show. So original music, we can't obviously play licensed music. We'd lose monetization and so forth, and they'd flag our channel. So we don't want that to happen. But we're really interested, if you know someone that writes music, plays music, it'd be,
Free exposure, free endorsement.
Exactly,
Anybody
man.
looking to get started and get their name out there?
Right. I mean, who knows? I mean, years from now, this show could be garnering gigantic viewership numbers and downloads. So it could actually help someone's career. So, yeah, we're really up for submissions on music.
Yeah, any and all music.
doesn't
Hip
matter.
hop, DJ,
Right.
computer based, whatever, however you're producing it, guitar, anything.
And you know how closely tied I am to hip hop, so that would be my.
We've had some discussions. You've come a long way.
Yeah, I'm not bad.
You have come a long way.
I'm the
sir.
youngest man alive. I'm the youngest man alive.
Come a long way. I'll say that.
Could be immortal. So, so send your submissions. You could email those to either myself at clockard, Lockerd, at AutoMaxRecruiting.com, or my genius son, Joe Lockard, at jlockard at AutoMaxRecruiting.com. So,
Yeah, because you might, if it's a big file or you want to send over an actual music sample, you might have to do Dropbox or
Exactly.
use the Google Drive or something like that. So just reach out and let us know, hey, I got something I want to send over, and we'll give you our Dropbox or our Google Drive, and you can throw it in.
Yep, exactly.
Son Joe Lockard at
Whoops.
Lockard.
That's so hokey that I do that. So we got a bunch of people watching, and share this thing out. Share it to groups. Share it to whomever, so we can. This should be an interesting show, I think. Today we're going to go over 2019 in review. We're going to tease you a little bit about something coming up that is going to take the automobile industry by storm. That is an exaggeration, but it'll be really interesting. I think we have. I'll let Joe touch on that a little bit, but and then I want to put a couple things out in the universe in regard to our future plans, and talk about customer service a little bit, and this and that. We're going to have here in just a few minutes. We're going to have a live. No, it's not a live. It's a call-in sponsor. Going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about our awesome sponsors during the course of the show, and all things automotive today. Go all around the horn. If you guys got some questions too, you're welcome to send them in. I'll try to glance at my phone every once in a while. And a bunch of AutoMax people on. Danielle Burke. Hello, Danielle. Jody Stoltenberg Adkins. Our buddy up in Massachusetts, Ethan Rawson. Shelley Buck. Brian Stroka. Stephen Warner. My goodness.
Steven's on?
Stephen is on.
Hello, Steven.
Good morning, Stephen. You have no life, man. You're up this early out in California listening to our show.
Steven's up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
He is.
He's got 10 different things done by now.
Stephen Warner's one of the hardest working people I've ever seen in my life. He really is. It's amazing. So what we've been doing over the month of December, actually I think we started the end of November on both the Recruiter podcast and our show, Did You Hire Him Dead or Kill Him After You Got Him, with the famous Anthony Santangelo. We've been putting $500 to the guest favorite charity. I'm going to consider you, my son, a guest today at the podcast. So,
thank you.
In that, you're welcome. So, charity, who do you want to give $500 to?
Yeah, so we talked about a little bit before the show, and without putting much thought into it, I'm going to apply it to or dedicate it to the Hero campaign, which, if you're not aware of it, I guess if you're not in the South Jersey,
right.
West Jersey, Eastern PA market, you might not know about it. It's charity started by the family of a police officer who was killed by a drunk driver, and really just go around the country raising money for drunk driver awareness, etc. It's a bit of a personal subject for our family. Myself and my wife, my wife was involved in a drunk driving accident about 10 years ago.
Shout out to Christina.
Hi, Christina. Where she was actually at fault, and she, the woman that she hit in the accident, suffered an injury, and she's fine. But anyway, fast forward, a few years down the road here, she reached out to her, and we've become pretty good friends with that woman and her family. Her husband is also a state trooper, and they are absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They are just exceptional human
beings. Were they married at the time of the accident?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not
no
know.
Kids. But this was a long time ago. So they have 3 kids. We have 3 kids. They're awesome people. So anyway, we do the Hero Walk with them in Ocean City. So it was a great story, and we reached out to the foundation and told them our story, and they thought it was awesome. So we put a team together, and we raise money every year and go and walk with their big crazy family and our big crazy family. And it's a really cool thing. I spoke about it on Friday on the Live at 5. Join me Friday, Live at 5, everybody.
Live at 5,
right on my Facebook
Locker.
page. I talked a little bit about, obviously, New Year's coming up here, and just it's really, and I don't want to judge people, but it is to the point where if you're out there driving drunk this day and age, it's pretty pathetic. Between Uber, Lyft, everything else, there's zero excuses for anyone to ever get behind the wheel of a car under the influence. I feel really strongly about that, and if it offends you, I really don't care.
Right.
That's just where we're at, there's never a good reason to do it. But back in the day, there was a lot of people that did it because you didn't have options like this. It was take a $250 cab ride home or drive drunk,
That's exactly right.
It's not like that anymore. So if you are going to be drinking tomorrow night, plan ahead. Hell, you don't even need to plan ahead. Just have the damn app on your phone. Call somebody. Yeah, the John R. Elliott Hero campaign. Look it up. Feel free to reach out. They do, like I said, a real cool walk in Ocean City in the fall. A 5K as well with it, but that's who I'll be dedicating to. And please, everybody, download the Uber Lyft app or get yourself a taxi tomorrow.
That's right. It's herocampaign.org. Herocampaign.org. AutoMax Recruiting and Training will be sending $500 to this nonprofit to help out there. And we're obviously blessed and pumped up to be able to do so. We at AutoMax like to give.
Absolutely.
Like to give. And we don't give to get back, we give to give.
Yeah, it's been a great year for us. We've touched on it a number of times, how much success we've had this year, and I think the best part of that has been us being able to give to things like this, and give back to our employees too. Just taking care of other people.
Did you happen to catch, I tagged you on a Gary Vee video clip over the weekend on LinkedIn. Did you happen to check that out yet? Did you see it
Which
yet?
one is it?
It was he was talking about, and it's, I don't know, the internet is feeding me a ton of servant leadership thing, and the employee's the boss. And,
Yeah.
and so Gary Vee was talking to some cat that owns a company, has 25, 30 employees, and Gary Vee goes, that'd be nice. I have 890 or whatever. He said, but what he said is like, we don't know what our employees or team members really want.
Right.
Whether it's good for them or bad for them, we don't know what they want. And so he was talking about suggesting, which something we can't do because we're all over the country, is hour and a half lunch, sit down, face to face. What do you want?
Sure.
What turns you on? And it's like, so, and I wanted to spend some time on this morning or today, because the term servant leadership sounds great, and I get it. And I think we've made inroads, positive moves. I think our culture within AutoMax has improved, changed, is moving in a positive direction. We're not even close, I don't think, to a finished product, which I hope we never are, frankly. But what is servant leadership? I mean, it's like, it's helping people out. Okay, so in leading from example rather than, hey, get off your asses, do that. That's not, that's old school stuff. So, but where's the line between servant leadership and letting employees roll all over you?
Right.
Which we don't have that problem, but I see that out there. It's like sometimes servant leadership almost seems to be, depending, it's like passive aggressive. It's like, because your kindness, it's mistaken for weakness.
No, of course.
Right?
So
it's tricky.
I was about to say a big part of it, and the motivation for it is having the right people place and hiring the right people that you want to serve them. You want to provide for them. If you don't like your employees and they're all a huge pain in the ass and it's not the right people in the right spots, you're probably not going to want to serve them. So I think that eliminates what you just said right there, because you have the right people. You don't have to worry about them taking advantage of you. But I think it also comes back to accountability, where if you are a true leader, what your people do and how they perform should be a true reflection of you. So you should always be thinking of what's in their best interest. What can I do? What have I been doing wrong so that they're not producing at the top of their game? Do I have them in the wrong spot? Am I not dangling the right carrots out there to motivate my people? Are they not being heard? Does this person need to be managed a little different than this person? I don't think it has to be coddling. I think when everyone thinks servant leadership, like you said, they think, well, my door's always open, because it can't be a full open door policy. Everybody can't always have a voice.
Right.
You can do it one-on-one, like you said, and like you said, that is part of a challenge for us.
Right.
And maybe why we maybe have struggled or come up short with culture in years past is because you want to talk about how hard it is to establish a culture. Try doing it remotely with everyone in 15 different locations.
People across the country.
I don't even know how you do it or how we've gotten as far as we have with
really,
it.
We're strong, man.
Well, I mean, we don't even get to see each other, but how many times?
Yeah, once a year,
every
maybe
2 years. So that right there in and of itself is a challenge. But like you said, if you can create more and establish more one-on-one, then of course in a large company that's not always an option, but that's where you get into the chain of command, where the owner, and I hate just using sports analogies over and over again, but I feel like the way that football has set up their front offices and the linear chain of command makes it a good usable analogy for all businesses. The owner in a large company shouldn't be talking to salespeople. Or let's go to the dealership. The owner probably shouldn't have his hand. That gets into you're not delegating or micromanaging, things like that.
Right.
But the person below you, so it should trickle all the way down. You should be a servant leader as an owner for your GM. Your GM, again, should set up the GSM, his service director, whoever it may be, so that...
Or her.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's
okay.
Bad habit.
Yeah, me too.
It comes all the way down so that everybody's taking care of the people underneath them.
Yeah, the tricky thing I've been studying and looking at, and research might be too deep of a word, but is the hierarchies that take place and the difference between, again, the word millennial is so done. I'm over it. However, younger people,
Right.
I don't think respond to the old time hierarchy, like you said, of trickle down management leadership. However, that gets tricky because there has to be a division between executive leadership and team members
Absolutely.
to get the most out of everybody. It's like I not everybody, I don't care what kind of, like, I think you said, did you say in your live the other day about culture's not foosball tables and this and that, right?
Right.
You
And that's,
said something like
that's
that.
a Gary Vee line. I mean, that's stealing
Right.
from him where.
It's true.
And it's what's
That's not
insane
culture.
is that's the first thing that everyone thinks
Right,
of when
let's
they
put
think
a
of
foosball
culture.
table in.
Well, we should have desks. Everyone should have their own. It's like, that's
Right.
cool.
Right.
Those are things. I mean,
Right. Yeah, it's
great. I'm not
nice.
saying that's a bad thing to do.
Not a bad thing.
If it feeds into what your overall concept and the environment, but that's just environment. That's a physical environment.
It's icing on the cake. It's not the cake.
Right. So none of that's 100% necessary. It helps, but what you were talking about as far as chain of command and possibly younger people not being receptive to that, I think it's okay. I don't think if, again, a large company or even just a large dealership where you have an owner who's just an owner, they have their own set of responsibilities. And
Right.
if everyone's doing their job and doing the things they're supposed to be doing, you'll see it. Your salespeople will see it. They'll understand. They'll see you out at charity events. If they happen to run into you at the dealership, you look them in the eyes, you shake their hand, and you ask them their name and, say, I appreciate everything that you're doing for my dealership.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, they get to know everybody at the dealership level. I don't think it has to be like that as long as you're putting leaders underneath you in place that are doing the right things and live by the same general guidelines and some of the emotional intelligence topics that we talk about, and everyone's doing their job. Things take care of themselves. And again, I know you didn't want to go there, and you mentioned it before, but it's still,
you can't help
you look
yourself.
at successful, I just find the NFL to be so fascinating in the way that both the front offices are structured, even at the management level, below executive, and then at the coaching level, just the delegation and the scale at which they're able to do things. And you can see that if there's one weak link in the chain anywhere, it's the difference between a successful organization and a not successful organization like the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
And everybody talks about this and that and the hire and the GM. It's like, how come nobody's talking about the owner? How come nobody's talking about the person at the very top who's actually supposed to be running the entire show? It's like you can't, or you talk about Jerry Jones, and the Cowboys have had success in the past, but
A million years ago.
right, and it seems like when they did have success in the past, it's because he just maybe lucked out, and you not lucked out, but you had the right coach.
Right.
in
He had
place.
Johnson.
Right.
Right.
You get the right coach. You
Right.
you hit on a couple drafts, and you live off
Right.
that for a little bit.
Right.
But he's gotten backed himself in a corner of true micromanaging, where he's doing things that he shouldn't be doing as the owner.
Well, that's a key point. Younger people, again, we'll stay away from the M word,
Sure.
don't want to be micromanaged,
Sure.
it appears to me.
Right.
Give them a path, teach them what they need to know to be successful at their career, their position within the organization, and then work side by side with them to help them be the best they can be at it.
Right.
But you can't micromanage. For me to, and you're obviously on the cusp of the millennial thing, but for me to micromanage,
Exennial.
right? What's it called?
Exennial.
Oh, okay.
Again, I don't want to get into name calling, but
For me to, because of my whole career, I micromanaged people.
Sure.
Back in the car business in the day, I had to know
no,
everyone was saying and doing down to the word.
right.
And for me to not, and then to double up, you're my son, so it's like it is so hard for me not to micromanage you.
Right.
So hard, and I
Sure,
know
sure.
it's like, I mean, you don't react well to that. Who does? But you don't react well to that at all. You like. I mean, I can tell you like to have ask me questions. You get jammed up or
Sure,
something. What do
everybody
you think?
needs
What do you
guidance.
think, Dad? Kind
Right,
of thing, or
right.
from a business standpoint. but for me to micromanage you would be a huge disaster. And I think that trickles through in our organization. I think we can micromanage people, but you said the word accountable, and everyone must be held accountable.
Right.
Or it's a train wreck.
Absolutely. And like you said, accountability within yourself, and then, of course, holding your team member accountable. A big one for you is inspect what you expect. And that's a great one. It's a really good saying.
No question.
If everybody does that, just doing that would make everybody more successsul.
How do you like? Don't I look good with my sweater on that you and your wife got me?
It's very nice.
Thank you, Christina Marie.
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah.
I don't pick alcohol.
So, hey, so what we're going to do? Let's see. I talked about iTunes. Review us there. Please share this thing out. All that. Watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is AutoMax Recruiting. We'd really appreciate it. We want to end up making millions of dollars off of YouTube and not have to work anymore. So we might start opening toys on YouTube. We might do that.
There's an idea.
Yeah, have the girls do it. They'd make a bunch. But I'm going to try to get a hold of one of our sponsors right now and do a live spot. And let's see if we can get this done right now. There he is. So, ladies and gentlemen, live on the Recruiter Podcast from where are you at, dude? Are you in Michigan?
I'm in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in 35-degree weather right now. It's beautiful.
Good. You deserve to be in 35-degree weather. It's going to be 60 degrees today in South Jersey.
So we had that same weather here just a couple days ago. It was 60 degrees. I was wearing shorts. Then it dropped to 30. Then yesterday we were back up in the 50s, and here we are again in the 30s, man. Gotta love Michigan. Gotta love all the northeastern states.
It's a unique person that can go shorts in December in Michigan.
Brother, I'm wearing them now because I'm going to be at the gym when I get done working at the office today. So I'm literally in shorts, but then a full-on sweatshirt.
Right. So
that's how we dress in Michigan.
all right. So for the thousands of people that will be listening to this and uploads and various ways that they catch this podcast, who we have on with us right now is one of the friends of the program, Mr. Matt Keening, and the rock star. What are we calling it anymore, dude? Are we still on conference, or what are we doing?
Rock star, right? We put on events. So Rockstar is the company, but Rockstar Events is what we do.
Right.
So there you go.
All right. So, and the next one, which is going to be very cool, and I'm going to be a little self-promoting here, is in March 15, 16. Is that right?
Yes, sir. We've got a great meet and greet the night of the 15th for everybody that comes to meet all 20 of these amazing speakers.
And that's Sunday, right? That's Sunday, March 15th.
Yes, sir. It is. I decided to do it Sunday so that people could fly in the afternoon.
Yep.
That folks wouldn't have to leave the dealership on a Saturday.
Yep.
So we've got that on Sunday night, and then 20 amazing speakers on Monday, including some folks from AutoMax.
That's right. That's where I wanted to be self-promoting.
I will be there.
Joe Lockard, Operations Director of AutoMax Recruiting and Training, the number one automotive recruitment company in the world, will be at Rockstar on Monday the 16th. I think you're speaking. Is that right? Would you be speaking on the 16th? Yeah.
Whatever that Monday is.
Yeah. And along with that, Shelley Buck's husband.
Is that who you are now, Andy?
That's right. It's Shelley Buck's husband.
Man. Whew.
Andy.
Mr. Shelley Buck.
Mr. Shelley Buck will be joining there. Shelley is without a doubt the power in that family, the strength of that family. And it's was Andy's birthday. I don't know if you saw the comment. I said, "Geez, Shelley, I didn't know you were into older guys." Did you see that comment by any chance?
No.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Andy Buck, who is no kidding, one of the top automotive recruiters and trainers in the country, and that's no baloney.
For sure.
He's an awesome guy. His background in automotive has just been one success story after another, but he's going to be on Matt's stage at Rockstar, and my son Joe, who's, again, the operations director of AutoMax Recruiting and Training. We're going to be talking about some. Are you going to go emotional? Should we just, or do we keep it a secret?
I don't know.
Right.
I'll be talking about the recruiting end of things, and Andy will be talking about the interviewing end of things.
Awesome.
We could pretty much leave
I'm
it at that.
excited about that.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
How do dude? So tickets. Now this venue, from when I looked, is really cool. Like,
Yeah, so the Vidara is a beautiful property owned by MGM. It's connected to like Bellagio and Aria down there on the Strip.
Oh.
So we brought it from downtown to the Strip, and this is an all-suite hotel. And here's what I think a lot of people are going to love about coming to this, because it's right there central in the Strip, right? So you can go to all the casinos. But the actual hotel that we're doing it in is a non-casino hotel.
oh,
So you can actually enjoy it. It's not all smoky and smelly.
Wow.
But here's what I think people are going to really love is we worked out a deal with Vidara to get a room block. So the rooms are like $170 something,
Wow.
including tax for a studio suite. And the tickets right now, if somebody goes to rockstarinfo.com, the tickets, including their suite Sunday night, are only $240 something,
Wow.
$246. So literally right now, if somebody gets a ticket, they're just paying for their room and their lunch.
Yeah.
And they get to come to this event. And we've got 20, let me say this again, 20 speakers in one day. This has never been done in the automotive industry, but we're doing this TED Talk style.
nice.
So this is literally like what I looked at after last year was I said, Rockstar has always got the best speakers in the entire world there.
Yep.
But what do we need to do to create a different experience? Because for those that haven't gone there, they go, oh, here's a 2-day conference and there's 12 speakers. Oh, it's probably the same as everything else.
Right,
so,
right.
You know, I'll go or I won't go. So I said, how can we really make this something that appeals to not only the front of the house of the dealership, but I'm talking dealer principals, general managers, service managers, service writers, and how can we really bring the full dealership? Because in 2020, if people are going to succeed, they can't just keep having that invisible wall between sales and service. We've got to get the whole dealership firing on all 8 cylinders. So I put together this idea to bring 20 speakers. Each one is delivering a powerful 18-minute session. So there's no BS, no fluff, no, hey, I've got 18 minutes to just pitch my company
Right.
kind of thing. We don't have these 45-minute sessions where they give you knowledge for 5 minutes and then pitch for 40. This is 18 minutes of actionable content times 20 people inside of one magical day. So the registration is going to start at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, and then we're going to kick off at 10. We're going to provide lunch in the afternoon, and it's going to go till 7 p.m.
Oh, nice.
So
I like that
this
format.
has never been done before, and starting a little later in Las Vegas, lets folks sleep in just a little.
Right.
So
Yeah, makes sense.
It's going to be an amazing experience, but I'm going to tell you right now, people need to hurry up and get their tickets, and that way they can get their rooms blocked. And all they have to do is go to rockstarinfo.com. That's rockstarinfo.com, and then they can lock it in right now.
Okay, good. And are we? You're good on speaker. Are you taking any more applications to speak, or are you that filled up, dude?
So I've still got a few spots open. We've got a couple of folks that are coming on that I'm really excited about that we've never had before. Jody DeVere, the founder of AskPatty.com, is going to be one of our featured
Oh,
speakers.
no kidding, dude. I talked to her 2-3 weeks ago on the phone. I didn't know that. Jody's a friend of mine. She's awesome, man.
She is amazing, dude. What she has done between Ask Patty and stuff at Women in Automotive.
Yeah.
She is a life changer, man. And also, I'm excited for Roger Love. Like, Roger Love is an inspiration, man. He's a motivator, an inspirer, and Roger Love's going to be taking the stage. I am super excited to have him at Rockstar. Somebody, again, who's never been to one of our events, never spoken at one of our events, and he's not someone One of the things I like to do is bring people that you're not going to hear everywhere else. Dan Moore is going to be on the Rockstar stage.
Woo!
President of Vista Dash. So I'm excited
Nice.
about Dan. And there are a couple more that are just they're secret. I haven't announced yet.
Awesome.
So,
All right. So, and if
still got a few spots for applications. I think 2 or 3 left.
all right, and if they wanted to take advantage of that, just reach out to you on social media, or how would they get a hold of you to do that? Through Rockstar Info or what?
So if somebody out there thinks, man, I'm a Rockstar speaker that can change lives in 18 minutes.
Right.
They need to go to rockstarexpo.com/speak. That's
Okay.
rockstarexpo.com/speak.
Okay.
And do it quickly.
Right.
Because,
And I'm assuming
a few spots.
they could reach out to you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, too, LinkedIn or whatever, right? Or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it. I live there.
Are you on TikTok, dude?
TikTok is,
Are you doing
right
TikToks?
now,
I gotta.
TikTok is the next Instagram.
Uh,
That's going to be the platform. As long as car dealers don't go ruin it,
Yeah.
like they do with every social media platform, by going live 800 times a day with nothing to say.
right.
TikTok is going to be the next medium where everybody's going to want to start advertising. Hey, I just saw an orange C8 Corvette go by. That is a good-looking Ferrari knockoff.
Yeah. Orange, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, for $80,000 to have a pretend Ferrari that's made in America. I think
I
it's
know,
a good
man.
car.
Hey, how about I can't wait till our pickup trucks get here. Our electric pickup trucks. What are those called? I'm drawing a blank.
The Cybertruck.
Yeah, Cybertruck. Yeah, you got your deposit in, right?
I did. I ordered the dual motor truck. I didn't go with the tri-motor. I did the dual motor.
Yeah.
But Fisker, have you seen? And since this is a podcast, a lot of automotive folks listen to. Have you seen what Fisker has done? The Fisker Ocean that they came out with.
I have not. No, I want a Cybertruck, man.
So you might want both, and I'll tell you, you might want to Google this while you're on the show. But Fisker Ocean.
Okay.
It is an SUV. Looks like a Range Rover Evoque, but a little bigger.
Yeah.
Electric with a solar-powered roof.
Yeah.
They're taking deposits now. Comes out 2022, and then when it comes out, you either buy it or lease it for like $350 a month to lease it. But this is going to be a game changer. The way Fisker's doing it.
Oh yeah, it looks like a real car. How about that?
It does look like a real car. Yeah, it does. It's got a Range Rover look to it. Yeah.
It's got like the front end of a Grand Cherokee.
Do you want a little inside information? Since I actually had a few cocktails with a gentleman that works at Tesla a few weeks ago. Do you want to hear some insider info about the Cybertruck pre-orders?
I do, unless it gets us and jams us up with the FTC, but sure.
Hey, I think it's fine if it does. It gets more publicity.
I don't care.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Something unique for those who pre-ordered the truck. You know how they have the picture of that Cyber Quad, the
Right.
four-wheeler in the back?
Yes.
Only for truck owners, we're going to be able to order that quad to come with the truck.
Really? A moon
they will
buggy.
not be selling it separately to anyone else.
Huh.
It is available only for order for the folks that pre-ordered the truck. So
I didn't know that.
exciting stuff.
That's
I didn't either until the guy told me. And they have a founder's edition that the employees get to order, which is like a matte black color. So
yeah, that thing in black would be awesome, I think.
yeah, I think so too.
All right, well,
I'm
listen.
excited for you guys to be at Rockstar. Thank you so much for being a friend of Rockstar. We love what AutoMax does, and man, you guys are putting people into careers and changing their lives, and you guys are a big part of why the reputation of the automotive industry has gotten so much better over the last 20 years. A big part of that is due to AutoMax and the way that you guys not only have properly and honestly recruited people, but by training them how to really take care of people better. And so
Appreciate
I love
that,
you guys.
Matt.
I appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Means a lot.
Yeah, we're awesome. We're just.
You are.
We are. We really are.
Matt, I owe you a headshot still. I promise it's coming.
You are the best. Thank you, Joe. I'll keep my eyes open for it. And you better get it to me before I forget that you're actually coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, special announcement, 21 speakers. 'Cause Joe
Yeah,
Locker got a
sorry.
headshot.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Joe Locker's going to be out in the world a lot more, so get ready, world, for Craig Locker's
World
son.
needs more Joe Locker.
That's a fact.
I don't know about that.
All right, listen, you don't pay us nearly enough in sponsorship fees to go on this long, so I'm cutting you off right now. So
Thanks, and I appreciate the time. You guys have an awesome day. And don't
You too,
forget
Matt.
rockstarinfo.com. Tell everybody, get their tickets while they can.
you got it. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.
All right,
You
you too. All right, cool.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Maybe we should do. Yeah, you should be that, and people should be. That I love TED Talk type of presentations because you have to be succinct. You cannot. I mean, it's like the word count.
No time for backstory.
Zero.
Here is who I am.
Yeah,
Here's
it's
my life
bang.
story.
Yeah, you're right into it. Have you watched a few now?
Yeah.
They're awesome, man. There are lots of good ones.
I got that's why I didn't want to commit too much to what exactly I'm talking about. It's going to be about recruiting, and it's going to be how-to type stuff. You know?
Yeah.
I figure that's kind of the theme on these is help in a quick manner and get as much info into people's heads that they're going to actually retain as fast as possible. So
I agree. All right, so a couple things I want to put out there. Go wherever you want here. I want to put some things out in the universe. So we've talked about this for a long time. You mentioned it, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I think, on one of our calls about me always having or talking about AutoMax Recruiting being like
Kleenex.
Kleenex.
Yeah.
Gosh, I said, I want to put it out in the universe, and I'm not kidding, that our intentions are to have literally every single automobile dealership in the country use AutoMax Recruiting and Training.
And service center, tire center, et cetera.
Correct. Tire centers, collision, whatever, RV, motorsports, look to AutoMax first for your staffing needs, regardless of what it is.
Sure. Go get me a tissue. Go get me a AutoMax.
Yes.
Go get me a Kleenex.
Right. Hey, we need an AutoMax hire.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that out there in the universe. We had a really good year. This year, I put out an email the other day to you guys about some intentions and some stuff I've written down for 2020, and I put 20% increase. That's weak. That's some weak stuff there. At some point, 20% becomes, a lot of money, and and it does equate out to a lot of money. But there's no reason why AutoMax Recruiting and Training literally can't be the first thing any automotive dealership or facsimile thereof. We have to be their first call. They have to look at us. More experience. We've done this more than anybody. We've had more success than anybody. Are we perfect? No, but man, we are constantly trying to gain perfection. With the technology we use, our people are ridiculous. Our staff is absurd. They're just amazing people, hardworking, smart, customer-oriented, so on and so forth. So that's one of the things I want to put out in the universe here, that there's no reason for anyone not to use AutoMax Recruiting coming into 2020. There really isn't. No, that's not true. There are reasons. Some dealerships do it well on their own and don't need us.
Absolutely. But we still have options for that too.
We do. Yeah, we can assist them.
Yeah. There's always a piece of the puzzle or a part of the process from, job postings all the way through that we can assist with.
That's right. We'd be happy to. And see, the thing that we can do, because we're flexible still, we're a fairly large company, but it's cool that we have the flexibility to be able to design, if you would, programs for literally any dealer, any dealership's need. It doesn't have to be, for so many years, and because we branded it that way, it was, we send a trainer to the dealership, they do interviews for 2 days, 2.5 days of training, bye, see ya.
Right.
Good luck to you, see you in another 6 months when you need more people. And we got kind of into that. That's what we're known for. And it's like, we do so much more than that. We're the best. Our trainers are ridiculous. They're so good, and what they do across the country is so meaningful and powerful. However, there's so much more that we can do, and there's really no reason if you're thinking about needing any staffing, and I'm talking about any department, reach out to us, have a conversation. you'd be shocked we can put together for you. And I mean, really specially design a campaign just for your dealership. We do it every day.
Right.
I mean, we want everything to be, it's so easier because we've been talking about dealerships buying stuff online where we don't have to talk to dealers.
Right.
But it's so hard because
we're not cookie cutter, right? It's my first conversation with a prospective client is more gathering information to try and I'll make suggestions, of course. I mean, that's our job. We're as much a consulting company as we are a recruiting company. But those questions are be honest with me. What can you guys handle? What is the infrastructure? Do you have sales managers? Do you have GSMs that can handle interviews as they come in?
Right.
Are you able to write your own ad copy? What can you do, or what can you honestly do well? And again, they have to be honest with us, or it's not going to work. But we don't have to do all of it for them. We don't have to do all of it. If we just do this piece and this piece, you guys handle it from here.
Right.
And then, if hopefully this person is honest with us and we can't do any of that. I need you guys to do everything.
Yes.
We can do that too.
That happens. I talked to a guy the other day on the phone and we had a similar conversation. Said, you know what? No, I want you guys to handle it.
Yeah, right.
Which is cool. And one of the hardest things coming from retail and having, being in executive management and so forth, you think usually I can do it all.
Right.
I can handle it.
Well, and this is the self-awareness stuff that I talk about. I talked about it on Live at 5 on my first one that I did about self-awareness and knowing your strengths, but also knowing your weaknesses and knowing your limitations. And it's okay. I don't think it has to be turnovers, this, and this within the industry. It's like, anyone who's worked in a dealership knows it's insane. There's not time for that. And I'm impressed when I come across a dealership that does handle it well and does have time to do that. And even stores that have their own HR manager, that person has other things to do. I work with a lot of HR managers that need our assistance. We do a lot of work with AutoNation, and they have regional HR managers. And Joe, you guys saved me. There's no way I could sit here and do this for the 25 stores in my region without having you guys to do some of the stuff behind the scenes and some of the heavy lifting. I mean, it's exactly there's other things that need to be done in a dealership, and that's okay. It's okay to admit that and say, I have to outsource this, just like you outsource every other thing within a dealership. You're
absolutely right. It's important. And I'll tell you what, I was thinking about this on the way in, the drive into the studio here at All Systems Go AV, that this is a very dangerous time of the year, and it happens every single year. I put it on an email to the staff the other day about I'm starting to get bombarded like I do every single December with, hey, I'm available, I'm an executive manager, I'm looking to relocate. And I mean, it's like executive managers either leave or get fired at this time of year, or management period, so there's a big shuffle. What you do next, dealers, in the next week, 10 days, 2 weeks, month, it really could absolutely determine success.
Yeah, it's very important time.
Or failure for 2020.
Absolutely.
It's so imperative that you get it right. And if nothing else, and this is an AutoMax Recruiting commercial, if nothing else, call us and discuss. Be open.
Sure. What are my options? What's best suggestions here? What should I do? Best practice. What should I do?
If the conversation go, hey, Joe, here's what I'm thinking. Here's my situation. Here's my store. Here's what I need. Here's what we've done in the past. Here's what I'd like to get in the future. What do you think? We'll take that phone call.
Right.
That's free. You're not going to get billed.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I love those phone calls.
Yeah. Right.
My days get boring sometimes. Being an operations director isn't always, fun stuff. So big picture type stuff, planning, things like that. It is a big time of the year. Moving, pivoting during the year for a dealership is usually a recipe for disaster, and it's one thing if you're growing and you just have to add things or you have to, but if you're going to try and redo the entire structure of your floor, of your service department and make sweeping changes, you have to do it now. You really can't do it, spring, summer. You're going to get killed.
No,
it's going to slow you down. We talk about speed and how important speed is.
Yep.
We talk about being slow. That'll make you slow right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're scrambling, and you're always behind. You got to get. This is a dangerous time. It's so important. There's not one thing, not one decision that you can make. That's probably not true, but I mean, there's some big money decisions. There's a lot of moving parts in a car dealership, but the biggest impact that you can have on your organization right now is making sure you have enough of the right people in your team, on your team, going in the right direction and having it done seamlessly, getting them onboarded, regardless of position, and hanging on to those people, retaining those people. It's going to make the difference. It could make the difference in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in your organization, at your store. Right. And we are here to help you. Right. We've got something coming up. I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but we're, this show's called 2019 in Review, but we're actually going to start reviewing here shortly. I don't know how long that's going to take, but we're going to absolutely do a review of the last 22 years. Here coming up, which is kind of exciting. You want to tease that a little bit?
Yeah. We got a big time celebrity that's going to narrate our history of AutoMax.
One of the greatest voices of all time.
Yeah, it's going to be
narrate.
More like kind of a short film, a little montage, talking about everything from my dad's beginnings and the evolution of the company. And our director of marketing, Brian Stroka, is going to piece it together for us, and it's going to be beautiful.
Shout out to Brian.
Next month or so, it should be done. You hit on something else.
Just real quick.
Go ahead.
Shelley Buck's husband's on.
Hi, Shelley Buck's husband. Yeah, that's going to be a thing now, Andy.
Mr. Shelley Buck.
That's going to be a thing.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Blame my dad.
Right. It's totally my fault. Yeah, and he's older.
Knowing
now.
Andy, I think he'll be okay with it. To be honest,
I think so.
The way he feels about his wife, I think he'll be okay with it.
No question.
You hit on something when we were talking about, this is a dangerous time of the year and a lot of turnover, and you're getting bombarded with people that, hey, I'm a GM of 10 years, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
A change that we're making this year that's long overdue, and I know it's been a sore spot for you, is instead of waiting for the demand for labor to drive our services, we're going to start allowing the supply of labor to also drive our services now, where we are going to become a true placement company, a headhunting company, if you will. So we're working the other side of it now also. And having said that, please know that we would never actively take a current employee from any of our clients or any other dealerships. So
first thing we ask.
It's absolutely, there's a contract in place to make sure that, they have notified or have already terminated employment with current employer, and that they're not currently working with any past or current AutoMax client.
Yeah, that's sketchy.
But having said that, as much as we can help and as much as we want to strive for change within the industry and cut down on the turnover, certain things are just always going to be there. And turnover, even at the mid-level and upper-level management, is always going to be there.
Yep.
And we can help with that. We get a lot of people, and what drove this is, as you said, you just get a ton of people reaching out. I'm looking.
So frustrating. And it's like well, how can we not have a platform to help these people?
A true placement division, right? So. And it's not that we don't do anything with them. Our resume database sits at 1.7 million candidates, and they get used. We certainly use that for all of our recruiting campaigns. But to now let the supply side of the labor drive it, and okay, we got you, we hear you. Send us some information, references, et cetera, and we'll go out and we'll shop that person and we'll find a home for them.
Yeah, and we're actually looking for, we're going to be expanding this year, so we're looking for some talented people.
Yeah, always looking for new people, specifically a couple of new recruiters.
Yeah.
Always welcome to conversations if anyone's interested.
Yeah. So we're going to have any idea when this is going to come out, this documentary of AutoMax? With the famous voice narrative?
It'll be January. I can commit to it'll definitely be in January. Yeah, for
nice.
Sure. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Put that on YouTube and then
put it everywhere.
Right. Yeah. That'll be awesome.
Usual bombardment.
You guys, I'm going to tell you what. This is the most awesome thing. We got a voice that's going to blow your mind doing the narrating the AutoMax story, if you will. It'll be pretty clever. I think you guys will like it.
Very exciting.
Also, did I talk about Did I talk about phone submission? Oh yeah, song submissions. Yeah,
We
got
did
that.
talk about that. And I do want to go further on what you're saying with dangerous time of year. The fact of the
Right.
matter is, I don't want to freak anyone out, but you're already behind the 8 ball. 'Cause
Yes,
you talked about
should have
finding
been done a month ago.
enough of the right people. Well, this goes back to what I talked about last Friday on Live at 5 of the audit, a company audit. If you don't
Yep.
spend November and December doing a company audit of your team members on
Yep.
who fits and who doesn't fit,
Yep.
you're already behind because
Yes,
that's
sir.
a process and that's going to take time.
You're exactly right. We've done that, and we really suggest strongly that everyone else do that. But dealers, this is not selfish. It's a must that you got to get on it right now for 2020 in your staff. It's an absolute must. Do not let that thing drag. You guys will miss deals. You'll miss opportunities, front
Absolutely.
and back, fixed and variable. It's absolutely imperative that you get on it right now.
Yeah, and look, you might do the audit and discover everything's great, and you're pretty happy
could
with where
happen.
things are going, and all that means is you're running at maximum efficiency, and you can focus on other things, and now you can start scaling it out. It's like, well, now I like what we have, but do I need to grow? Am I happy with where we are? Is it scalable? So it's not an open plea to you have to start replacing people. But you do need to take a look at it, and you should have already done it by now, and if not, you should do it today.
Yes, absolutely. So let's, again, we're 2019 in review. What did we do right with
Sure.
AutoMax in 2019? What did we do wrong? What did we do okay? Where's our improvement opportunities?
Yeah.
In your opinion, where do you
Well-
think we have been and going and so forth this
Right.
year?
So I want to start with the right. I'd like to start there before you get into some of the areas that we need to improve on. I think the flexibility that you mentioned. I think before it used to be a matter of, well, I don't know, can we do that? What's he asking for?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yes.
And now it's just a matter of, does it have anything to do with finding people, human beings, and putting them in your store? Yeah, we can do that. Sure, we're on it. And it's, a lot of that is a byproduct of the technology that we've put in place to make our entire process more scalable and just cleaner overall. And then the team members that we have in place too. We've fine-tuned that instead of just kind of coasting along and not doing the things that I'm telling everybody else to do right now.
Right.
Not doing an audit, not looking at if someone's in the wrong spot or just adding people. I think we got stuck in an area of complacency.
Yeah, we did.
Where we're just, we're doing okay.
Yeah, right.
We don't need to hire new people.
Right.
We don't need to expand.
Right.
We don't need to add anything. This is good enough.
Expansion's scary.
And I think that's, we've talked about it a lot on this show, and I've talked about it in regard to just change, period. Like you said, change is scary.
Yep.
And just general complacency of, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm okay with good.
I think one of the biggest differences, changes, and improvements that was made was something you did when we finally figured out tech recruiting. And not that we've totally figured it out, but there's no one else but as good as we are.
Considering
recruiting.
what a big hurdle and big challenge it is, I feel confident. Every time I talk to a client about it, well, are you going to guarantee? No, I'm not
No,
going
you
to guarantee we're
can't.
going to find you techs because I can't do that.
No.
What I can guarantee is that if they literally exist,
Yeah.
employed, unemployed, are
Right.
in your market
Right.
or in the area that if you're telling us to do a nationwide recruit for Porsche Gold certified technicians,
Right.
I'm telling you we're going to talk to
Right.
10 to 15 Porsche Gold certified technicians, present what you're offering,
Right.
and if they're interested, you're
Right.
going to talk to them.
Right.
That's
Well,
what I'm telling
what you just said, a couple words there, what you're offering, because the dealerships offer,
you.
especially
Right,
with
that's why we
automotive
can't guarantee it.
technicians,
There's a lot of things we don't control. It is what it is.
it's you got to step up, man.
Right.
If you're looking for techs out there, I don't care the level. You got to step up or step away. 'Cause
And
you
it's
won't
not
get it
just
done.
text. We use text. So again,
Sure.
I'm going to talk about this out at Rockstar. This is going to be a big part of my presentation. And it's, I wanted to mention it while Matt was talking because he was talking about the service side and the
Right.
importance there. And I always end up using that as my example
Yeah.
because it's the most challenging. So it interests people. It's
Yep.
an issue, obviously.
Yeah.
But it does apply to other areas. And what you just said is a lot of what I'm going to talk about. It's not just throw an ad out there and people are going to come to
No.
you anymore. And
It's not even close.
it's not even just find the people and engage in a conversation. You now have to sell. There's so much competition, not just for technicians, but for quality salespeople, just across the board, just competition. When unemployment's this low, the competition is fierce for talented individuals.
Yeah.
You have to step it up, and it doesn't have to just be about money. That's a good starting point, and it's a good conversation starter, but it's so much more than that. You have to be competitive, and it's not just the other dealerships or the automotive industry that you're competing with. You're competing with everybody now.
That's right. And I won't mention the name, but a friend of ours, she's a female dealer out in Denver, Colorado, reached out to us, I don't know, a week ago or so, about finding one experienced automobile salesman. And you can step away from that. You look outside it, and some of the people who are listening to the show right now or watching the show right now go, well, how hard is it to find an experienced car salesman? Okay? It's about as hard it is to find a quality, experienced automotive technician.
Sure, and it's for a lot of the same reasons, where the good ones have worked themselves into a really good spot, are making a ton of money, and have zero motivation. So now you have to, and again, I'm drawing my supply and demand for labor chart, where the only way you get this person is to raise your offering. So a lot of times it can just come down to money.
Correct.
So you really want that just throw a stupid pay plan at them. Now, again, the other problem involved there is the other side of it, of the emotional intelligence type stuff and culture stuff, where the challenge with experienced salespeople, and we don't get that request a lot, honestly.
No, we don't.
We only hear that maybe once a month. I want experienced people. Is because so many of them that have experience have the wrong experience and have bad habits. So now you're talking about an even smaller demographic, because the ones that do have experience and are quote unquote good or do well for themselves and make a lot of money probably aren't going to fit in with your culture and aren't going to want to listen to what you have to say, because they feel like they already know everything by now. And that's not everybody, but it's just the nature of the beast, And the same thing with techs. I talk to a lot of dealers, and I almost tell them, I feel bad because I sit here and I can spit out culture and talk about emotional intelligence. A lot of stuff goes straight out the window when you're talking about recruiting technicians. You need people with experience. You need people with experience. So short of them being psychopaths, you got to put up with some stuff, because this is who's out there. It's that, or what you should be doing, grooming your own techs.
Farm system.
And paying your current techs to train them, give them $2 extra an hour, or whatever it may be, to train apprentice technicians, guys who have been to trade school, worked on cars, and lay out a career path for them and say, look, I know you probably don't have the aspirations right now, but here's what you can and will be making if you hit this training level, this training level, this training level, and stay with us for 5 years. Their eyes are going to get real big. Christina's nephew or cousin, it's like her nephew, is working for Littleton Ford right now as a lot porter, and he's been there for almost a year now, just part-time after school. Great kid, works his ass off. Littleton Group, just phenomenal.
They are
just absolutely phenomenal.
Shout out to Stacy Littleton.
Absolutely. And Scott Holber is the service director over at the Chrysler store. We've been recruiting techs for the Chrysler store for a while. If you're looking to buy a car in South Jersey, in the Vineland, Millville area, you go to Littleton. Don't go anywhere else.
Go to Littleton.
So anyway,
Matt Blatt.
Yeah. Well, South Jersey's a huge market, but specifically in the Vineland, Millville, I would not go anywhere else. I'm just going to put that out there.
There you go.
So anyway, what was I talking about?
About her
about Mark.
Cousin, yeah.
So he doesn't know what to do. He's getting ready. Who knows what the hell they're going to do after high school? He knows he's not going to college. Right. So his choices, were literally like police department.
Yeah.
Or some type of civil servant, or keep doing this. And they've laid it out for him and given him the opportunity and showed him, hey, once you can do full time here, we'll start you out right here. You will be a technician. His dad's got, has worked on cars his whole life, so he has the background. You know how many kids there are out there like that, especially 16, 17 years old, who don't know what the hell they're going to do after high school?
And if you give them a shot in the path,
many of them.
That's awesome.
Right. So that's what you should be doing. But if you're going to come to us and say, I need experience, it has to be a plug-and-play salesperson, it has to be a plug-and-play technician, it adds a new variable, because you might have to put up with some crap to get somebody who's experienced and can perform right away.
I think one of the biggest things that we did in 2019, I think you came up with this in 2019, was the 3-month
Sure.
program for techs. And,
Sure.
and
We've
a little bit of money up front and then a monthly fee.
sure. And
And we're recruiting the whole time.
yeah. And,
It's just a no-brainer for dealers.
and
then.
and that's, that's really, and it's a shame because it does sound like just a shameless plug for us, and it's just more money for AutoMax.
Right.
Putting that aside, forget
That's right.
about that.
We need more money.
Take the money out of the equation, which sounds lovely for us.
Right.
We're actually beta testing this coming up here with our buddy Andy Wright, who's been on the show before, where honestly recruiting should be an ongoing process.
Yes.
It's not just technicians. When I talk about the audit and the things that go on internally, and it may be you only need to fill 1 or 2 positions.
Right.
But those could be really, you might not understand it, but I talked about the audit, and I talked about it last Friday, and Gary Vee talks about firing your best salesperson. You might take a long, hard look and realize, oh my God, my best salesperson is an idiot. He or she is ruining the culture of my sales floor. I need to remove them. But that's a pretty big hole to fill. So that one position, it might just be one position, but it's a really important hire. It might be the most important hire you make the entire year.
That's right, man.
So my point is, yes, we turned, instead of our tech recruiting campaign as, we'll take a shot at it for 30 days.
Right.
It's an ongoing thing. It's 3 months, and then let's look at it at the end of 3 months and see if there's still holes that need filled.
Best way to do that for both parties, because that way we're not just throwing anything at them to fulfill a contract.
Right.
And they can take their time and really look at it and make the right hire. So,
and it is a matter of timing sometimes. We'll dive out there, and we might go 3 months and there's nothing. And then we'll keep the door open on a campaign.
Guy moves into town and boom, you got to hire.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to be expanding that in 2020 to cover all, not just fixed op side, but we're going to apply it to the variable side and start doing full dealership monthly recruiting.
Right.
And again, we're in the beta stages here and still working out the kinks.
Well, Andy Wright and the Venner organization is, what better place to try something like this? And actually, he came up with that.
He brought it to us and said, hey,
specific idea.
Why don't you do this for all positions?
Yeah, right? A dealer telling us how to run our business. Go figure.
Right.
Well, and us listening.
And ironically, the reason it will work for him is because of the things that I just said.
Yes.
Right now, we are recruiting, and he's open. He's like, it's not all positions. He's like, I need service. I need an experienced service advisor. It's a very important position in my service department. They can make, my top guy's making $120,000 a year. It's a big time position. That needs experience.
Right.
On the tech side, Andy was running radio spots for entry-level technician positions. So, Joe, I got a bunch of people that applied to this radio spot. I have their email addresses. That's all they have. Can you do anything with us? And absolutely, throw them over. We'll reach out to them.
That's right.
He ended up making hires out of that because he's looking for the right type of person, and to a point doesn't care what their experience level is.
Right, and that speaks to what you were talking about earlier. We can take any situation and help a dealer. If a dealer has people but doesn't know what to do with them after that, okay, boom, AutoMax.
Right.
So it's like, if you have a question about people, call us, and we'll figure it out together.
Yeah,
so it works for them.
We've been doing a lot of consulting. I've been doing a lot of consulting over the past couple months for a dealership locally here in the area, and they've got themselves just an ugly situation. Second generation dealership, and just a lot of ugly stuff going on. And the new owners reached out to me and just kind of laid out everything that's going on, and it's a mess. I mean, this isn't a quick fix. She's going to be a year.
Elbows and issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take probably 12 months to get this thing back to square one and straightened out. And, it was kind of are you up for it? Is that something you can do? And it was, yeah, absolutely. But here's what we're going to do. Here's step one. Here are the things that you need to do. So again, it's more of a partnership, and that's the way recruiting should be looked at, as a partnership, and it should be ongoing. But having said that, there are plenty of organizations that are doing a fine job with it, know what they're doing, and just need us to fill a few gaps in the chain, if you will, and we're more than happy to do that.
What are some of the other things you think we did at AutoMax this year that really lent itself to our having a big year?
Sure. Well, speed, automation. I'll hit on a couple. Automation and technology, obviously. It's big for everyone. It's the right amount of automation, not autopilot, but automation for things that don't need to be manually done. It's big. I encourage everyone to look into it. And again, it's another audit situation. You might look at it and say, there's no way quality control will get lost if there's automation in this part of the process.
Not necessarily true.
Sure. So it doesn't have to be change for the sake of change.
Right.
It's the right change.
Right.
That was big for us. And then speed. So you have to balance it as a recruiting company. You have to balance providing quality candidates and a quality process and service with fast, really fast. I found a nice tidbit that I still come back to all the time on LinkedIn. I forget who released the study of the failure and success of a recruiting process in relation to the amount of time, the time to hire, they called it, from when the person first showed initial interest and to the first interview, the offer, the start date.
No.
And any increase in that length of time to hire decreases the probability that you're going to get that position
Absolutely.
filled.
I've been saying it for a lot of years now. It's identical to the lead that calls, texts, or emails a dealership.
Absolutely.
If you let that thing lay around, man, you ain't selling them a car, period, end of story. Forget about it. Don't even follow it up. If you're going to wait days, just screw it. Go on to the next one. It's the same thing with recruiting.
Right. You got to qualify it, and then you got to shit or get off the pot and decide what you're doing. And if it's not the right one, get on to the next one and keep going.
We as dealers have got to get away from the notion that we can sit there, and because we have that sign out front, people are just going to wait for us to take our time. And no, that's a car deal. We have to go get them. Absolutely. If you want them, go get them.
And it's tough. And it's that's another self-awareness, ego, emotional intelligence thing where you just have to get past it in your head, and it's okay. You're a salesperson. This is what you do for a career.
Yeah.
Sell somebody on your dealership. Sell them on your position.
That's right.
Sell them. Tell them why this is what you need to change. And if they don't see it, then to hell with them. That's fine. It's the wrong fit. You shouldn't have to push that hard. If you get to that point, and it's okay to just give up on somebody because you can tell they're trying you on.
Yes.
And, you come to an agreement. Well, actually, I need another $1.50 per hour. Take a hike, dude.
Right. We've run across that with recruiter trainers, people that wanted to come aboard, and their self-image rather of themselves is.
And we just give it to them straight. Here's what it is. Here's what it's not.
Right.
And
in or out.
If you tell them right up front, they eliminate themselves a lot of the time.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I think along those lines, I think we've had a real interesting year with our recruiter trainers. I think we've developed some younger people that really come along really well. Lene Tarver comes to mind.
Sure.
She's just like, did you notice the email she sent
us? I did,
us?
yeah.
And so nice.
And I'd like to talk about Lene because, again, it just talks about us, coming up short on stuff and, why haven't we been doing that?
Yeah.
Something that we also do that, again, people probably don't know we do. The same thing we do for salespeople. I talk about developing, and again, we don't do technician training, but we do service advisor training, and Lene will be more than happy to do it. John Yui's another trainer of ours, fully capable of doing on-site service advisor training.
Yes.
So, the same model where we go on site and we handle both the interviewing, the initial screening, and the training, we can apply that to service advisors. And Lene will be a big part of that for us in 2020.
She's awesome group. And I've been just so pumped about our trainers, like no turnover. And we're moving some people around. Rob Winters is going to be more involved in helping dealers, assisting dealers.
Yeah, placement.
Right, in placement, along with our friend Melissa Skinner, who's awesome. So and I'm really pumped up about those two positions.
Absolutely,
man. That's really cool. Shout out to Joanna Weber. She just joined. Hey, Joanna.
Hey, Joanna.
What's happening, girl? Yeah, so I think our people this year, because of communication, and again, I think you and Ernie, our communication with our team members has really improved, I think. And I think that's lent itself to just a little bit more here and there, a little extra effort, that one extra phone call, the one text, and the one email, and the just pushing just a little bit. Some of these people had pretty good years. And I think
a lot of that's it's relationship building. It's not people say, well, what are you doing? Are you offering more money? And it's really we've learned a lot over the years that it's really not about that.
Yeah.
And it's important. It's important for everybody. It's important for us. But when you actually know and care about the people that you're working with, things change drastically, significantly. And I see it. We were down at David Villa's Culture Matters conference, and David Moss was down there.
Yeah.
And, my God, it was probably middle of the second day before it hit me that this kid's running multiple dealerships and that he's a dealer principal.
Impressive.
I just thought he was, a sales manager or something. Just so approachable, so down to earth, just kind,
man.
just young, just a good person.
You see, they just had a baby, I think.
Yeah, he just had his fourth kid. Maniac went for it after 3 daughters. Blows my mind. And had a son, so congratulations,
there you
David.
go.
But
are you going that way, or what are you going to do?
No, all done.
Why don't we adopt one? We need another
I talked
Walker,
about it.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Not now. But so that type of relationship.
Would it be bad for me to say that I'm up for like adopting a 6'10" African American?
Yeah, I think it would be bad for you to say that.
Okay.
But it's too late.
All right.
It's out there now.
All right. It'd be awesome.
No, I have talked about adoption. It's crazy. You get done having kids, and you're 100% there. So that's what you have to go by.
Right.
The decision you made before the fact. You can't start thinking about it afterwards.
No.
I mean, you made that decision for a very exact reason. You have to remind yourself that all the time. No, we're done. We said we were done. We said it for reasons. We were 100%. It wasn't 99%. We were 100% done. Right. Because then you have a kid and you're like, oh, kids are awesome.
Yeah.
I want more kids. They're so cool.
Yes.
But I've said a million times, I used to, you'd see these families with 5, 6, 7 kids. I'm like, you're crazy. But I can see it now. Given unlimited time, money, and resources, I'd have 15 kids if it wasn't those 3 things.
Yeah, go Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, it's just...
yeah. We only have we have one opportunity to pass along the name at this point is Elijah Lockhart.
Yeah, my sister's son, correct.
Yeah. No, he's it. All the pressure's on Eli.
No, you have another son,
Huh?
You have another son.
Oh, your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he'll have kids.
Well, I wouldn't put anything out. I've seen too much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it out of the picture.
He's a fourth quarter type of guy. 2 touchdowns down. Yeah, it's possible.
It's very possible.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So anyway, it's funny you mentioned the communication.
Melissa, Rob, how you doing?
Hey guys. I feel like communication is something that we need to improve, but we have already improved on it, and I kind of think that speaks to the whole theme.
From what aspect? How can we improve our communication with our team members, you mean?
Yeah, well, I don't have a great answer for it, and it's just the logistics of it, and it's just, so I guess technology, we've talked about we should do video conferences.
Yeah.
The problem is...
Do people want that, though?
I don't know. The problem is when it's remote, it's so time consuming. Like, it's so much more complicated to do that than if we were all in the office and it's everybody huddle. We're going to go sit in the lunchroom and talk for 30 minutes and let's do this. I want to hear what you have to say. And you go right back to work.
Right.
For some reason, for whatever reason, that's less intrusive than, hey, we're having this video conference right now. Everybody get in front of it. It's just clunky. It's hard.
Right. Well, in saying that, however, maybe the strength is in the fact that we can't get together.
It forces you.
It forces us to, what we say is got to be more on point. It has to be better thought out.
And that's what I strive for with our Friday calls is where we used to just get on there. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, what's
Anybody
up?
got anything to talk about?
Right.
And those never went anywhere.
No, those have gotten much better.
It's got to be focused.
Much better.
And that's a big part of being a leader. And Glenn Lundy talked about this at the Culture Matters conference. And I forget the not anagram. What's NFL? What are those called? Drawing a blank. It's Monday. Anyway, I'm at hour 15 of a 16-hour fast. Give me a break here. So anyway. He uses something to talk about the importance of meetings and doing it. I forget the words that he uses. Doing it every single week, accountability, etc. Nobody wants to do sales meetings, and it's always becomes this thing. Well, you can take it in the opposite direction. You can just say, oh, I have to do a sales meeting, or you can realize how flippin' important it is, and that's the one time that you get your entire team's focus and make a point to make it not suck. It's your job. It's you can't just go through the motions and say, well, we did our sales meeting today. It's like, no.
Yeah, it's not something you cross off a task list.
No, it's part of your job. You have to prep for that. That has
Right,
to be
right.
at home after hours work, or do it at the dealership. I don't care, but you have to take an hour and decide what we're going to talk about
Right.
before you even go into that meeting.
Right.
And it has to be relevant, and it has to be engaging, and it has to involve everybody.
That's exactly
It's not
right.
easy. It's a pain in the ass.
If it was easy, everyone would own a
Sure.
business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's imperative, and I think a lot of growth, company growth, comes from that specific thing.
It's
Everything grows off of it.
absolutely. It's
You know?
relationship building, and be transparent. Be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a big thing that we've grown with this year. Is everyone's gotten a little bit more comfortable being themselves.
I think
and
so.
not feeling like they have to hide who they are from other people within the team,
I
within
agree
the
with that.
company. So
I agree with that.
I think it's important. You know.
Yeah. Well, and to be able to be, the old thing of people feeling in on things, I think we do a good job. Not great, but we do a good job with letting people know that they can bring ideas to the table. They're not going to be laughed at, ostracized, that they're actually going to be considered.
Right.
Oh, whether we put it in play or not, that is up to us. That's what owning a business is all about. However, I think our employees know us well enough to know that they can run something by us. Hey, I got an idea where this would help business, or this would help me even.
Right.
And we're open to that.
Yeah, it's important, and you got to, like I said, ours is a little different. We're smaller.
Right.
We're more
Yeah.
flexible. We can make changes, and you at the head have pretty much the same access to employees that I do. I'm
Yep.
right beneath you.
Yep.
At a dealership, it might be a little bit different, where you can't have every salesperson that has an idea
Acronym.
going acronym. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Mondays. That's depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can't have a true open door policy where every salesperson on the floor can just run to the GM whenever he wants and start making suggestions. It'd be chaos.
Yes.
But you can run it up the chain of command, and you need to trust that the person that you're talking to is going to take what you're saying seriously.
Yes.
Have a conversation with you about, here's why we can't do that.
Right.
That's a great idea. I'm going to talk to the boss about that. We're going to have a real conversation about that. I want you to be a part of that. I want you to come in when I set up this meeting and
There
have
you
a
go.
set time where the three of you can be together. So
There you
now
go.
it has a voice with it, and it's
Yeah.
not coming from the salesperson. And the GM is like, I got 8 million things going on. Why is this guy coming to me and trying to tell me how to do my job?
Right. That's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
I've been at that dance, and it's not good.
No, it's just going to be a fight, and even
Right.
if it's a good idea, then you'll never hear about it because it's never going to get
You
to the
don't hear
table.
it. You
Right.
never listen to it.
Right.
It's impossible to listen to.
Right.
And it gets blown out, and then it's a destructive
Right.
situation after
So
that.
again, maybe it's just I just expect more from us, and I think I just get frustrated by the fact that we're not all together in a room. We
Yeah.
can't do. You know what bummed me out? 2 weeks ago, I'm doing follow up end of the year type calls with clients and stuff, and they're all going to Christmas parties and stuff. I'm like, this sucks.
I know, man.
I want to go get loaded at the Christmas party. Why can't I do that?
I know. I do too. Oh, no way. I can't get loaded. We'd have to call in a SWAT team.
Sorry.
I know.
So-
But
so-
I know what you mean.
It stinks.
Sucks.
But
Well, this year we'll have a party. This year, we have to. In 2020,
No, I
we're
can't.
going to have a get together.
But still, it's different. It's just
Yeah,
different. My
it
point
is.
is when everyone's working remote, it's just different. And you have to do
It is.
different things to create culture and open up the lines of communication.
Yeah.
We have improved, but what I was going to say is I think it fits in with our whole theme of 2020, where you and I talked, and it's like, okay, cool, we had a great year, and you find yourself, you push and you push and you struggled, and we struggled through the recession, and we got past it, and we built back up, and then you have this great year, and you're like, whatever, who cares?
Right.
Starting over. I thought of it on the way up here. It's
Right.
like it's almost New Year's. I'm annoyed that it's New Year's Eve tomorrow, New Year's Day Wednesday, that I'm not going to be working, and I got to sit through frickin' New Year's Day.
Right,
The
on
Rose Bowl
hold.
sucks. I don't care, and go before I can actually start 2020. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So it's like it's all in the past, and you and I specifically talked about, okay, that was good, but it feels like we're just at a baseline now,
Yes,
where we
we
finally
are.
got our shit
It's a
together.
good way to put it.
To where we had a good year. Okay, well, now we're finally there. Now what are we going to do to actually get to where we truly want to go?
Right.
And I think the communication's a microcosm of that, where
Yes.
it's gotten better, but there's so much room for improvement. So
Yeah.
it's, I'm just kind of hard on myself with that
Right.
stuff.
And then go in another direction, there's little things that I think that it could be important for dealers to hear is our texting.
Yeah, so I was going to mention that too, in the technology, and that's in the speed and the automation side of it too, because it's funny. I talked to Dan Webb from time to time, and he was on the show, and I'm on the Tacoby text message list, so I still get automated text messages from Dan.
That.
And I saw him laughing at somebody who was a prospective client. It didn't come together, but the guy's blowing him up about, do you really have time to sit here? The guy actually thought that Dan was sitting there and individually texting him every single time. It's like, dude, no, this it's automated now. Nobody's sitting there actually text messaging you once a day.
Somebody probably is, illegally.
I mean, it's so. Our text messages that go out to clients are part of a workflow that are fully automated, that are on a timer, and they go out for a reminder. So, but it's huge. Text messaging, period.
It was a huge change for us.
Yeah.
It increased all our numbers exponentially. It was amazing.
And we get pretty good tracking for most of the job boards as far as the active candidates that come from job postings. So we see a good split. And it's, if not 70-30, it's 60-40 mobile apps versus desktop apps as far as job applications.
Say that again. That's an important number.
It's probably somewhere between 60 and 70% of our active job candidates that come to us via job postings are via mobile.
Yeah. So I tell you what, so if you're working from a site, you're working from your website or whatever you're working from, it better be mobile friendly or you're screwed. You do not exist.
Right.
You don't exist if you're not recruiting mobily. You don't exist if your ad's not showing up on Google. You literally do not exist.
Right.
That ad's not, no one will see it, period, right. End of story. So what improvements, where do you think we need to improve 2020 to get where we ultimately, our next step in our growth as a company?
Sure. Well,
is a 22-year overnight success story.
And mine's as operations director, I'm always looking at process. So I look at stuff, and when something's not working 100% of the time, it's a failure for me.
Yeah.
That's just the way my brain works. Yeah. It's not great. I talked about it last Friday. Got to get better at that. More, recognizing your successes. But when you lean more to that side of being too hard on yourself, it does drive you. So it does keep pushing you to keep looking for perfection. It can also eat away at you because perfection is impossible to obtain. But I would like to see some changes that just get us to a point of it is 100%. It is, we're going to get that position filled. Yep, no, we're going to find that one. I don't see a ton of glaring weaknesses. Again, for me, it would have been more of communication as far as just all of us being able to talk. And again, I don't know how you really do that. I'm open to suggestions for anyone else running a remote company, things you guys have tried to improve.
That's a good idea.
The communication among your group. Outside of just getting together for conference calls, because they can be a bear and everybody's got stuff going on. So I think it's got to be not just communication as a group, but one-on-one, increasing one-on-one communication for companies that are run remotely.
Your sister forgot to give your brother my Christmas presents.
Okay.
That sucks.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It's traumatic.
I don't know what improvements do you see? I think it's might be easier for you. I'm kind of bogged down in it, and it speaks to what I just mentioned. That when I see improvements, it's stuff that I can sit here and talk about, but nobody's going to know what the hell I'm talking about because it's behind the scenes type stuff.
Well, I think, in my opinion, and we've talked about this. This is nothing new, and I'll put it towards a dealership point of view from it. So. On social media with automobile dealerships, when it comes to selling a car and then a picture of the person taking delivery of the car or a review of some sort, right? It's about the car sale. It's the front end, right? Nothing about the back end.
I know where you're going.
Hey, these guys absolutely did this, that, and another thing in the service department that was great, so on and so forth. With our company, the social world knows when we're at a recruiting campaign. They see pictures of the classrooms. They see video reviews from the dealer. They know that we can do things on site at the dealership, but they don't know 65% of our business, which is this remote recruiting that we do such a good job with literally, the old catchphrase from porters to presidents. So I think it's important going into 2020 that we find a way to initiate reviews from our happy customers, dealers,
Right.
when we do find people for them, and get that out into the world so people go, oh, crap, I didn't know AutoMax did that. I mean, that's so frustrating that people don't know that we recruit as many technicians. No, that's not true. We recruit a crap load of technicians. I mean, literally everything. Literally everything.
General awareness. And I brought up somebody on my phone. I actually met him down at the Culture Matters conference. Andrew Breedlove. He's regional sales director at Auto Packet. Andrew's awesome with this, and it's something that I see him do all the time, and I feel like we should steal. Anytime they get a new client, it's an announcement. He makes a big announcement on Facebook. I think part of our problem is we've been doing this so long, and we turn so much volume that you start taking it for granted. It's like, I just closed another deal. I just got another client.
All right,
so instead of celebrating it, and we've done it briefly internally.
We'd spotlight.
Yeah, or we'd ring the bell internally, and we'd send an email around and say, hey, I just got a new one, pat each other on the back. But if you're not showing everybody else that and talking about, so an announcement of, hey, AutoMax will be recruiting technicians for ABC Motors.
Right.
That
Want to welcome ABC Motors into the AutoMax family.
So that's something that Andrew does that I see and I love.
And what's his company?
Auto Packet. They were down at Culture Matters.
Yeah.
I forget the owner's name. The speakers kept confusing you and him.
Yeah.
Pointing at you and talking about him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot.
Sure.
How hard would that be to do? That's not hard, right?
It would just be a lot of posting because we're at 23 campaigns already for the week of January.
Right, yeah, you get
6th.
you do 40, 50, 60 dealerships a week.
But I think that's why we don't do it is, again, you get spoiled and you start taking stuff for granted, man. Instead of celebrating your wins and showing everybody, here's who we are, here's what we're doing. And when you're not a brick and mortar and people can't see what you're actually doing, social media is the only place you have to show what you're actually doing.
Correct. That's exactly right.
I would agree with that. I think that's somewhere we do come up short.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to. That's a really good idea. That and then the follow up to that is, these
here's
guys
the
rocked
results.
it. Yeah. Here's the results
For sure.
And I recommend them highly, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
And see. But now we do get that stuff, and I think internally we make choices not to post some of that stuff, which I don't know why, but we do get, conversations back via either text or email or what have you that we should post.
Sure. Daniel Burke, through 3 months of painstaking labor, put a GM into Apple Chevrolet, Time Magazine's 2019 Dealer of the Year. I mean, that's something that you guys...
It was 3 months.
3 months, I think. Yeah. That's something that you guys probably should have heard about, and that's on us.
Right.
Things get fast and furious, and things get overlooked. So
that was a team effort. You were involved.
Absolutely.
I was involved. Danielle was involved. It was crazy.
That's how our GM campaigns always go. If anyone's ever wondering, what do you guys recruit at the executive level? We do. It's a lot more involved. It's not... we'll post an ad and throw some resumes at you. We're gonna be touching it on multiple fronts with multiple people involved.
Yeah, those kind of positions, they go everywhere. See, what we do is when you're looking for an executive management person, whether it be fixed or variable, we get a video of this person, which I think is. Man, I tell you what, I think it's so important.
Absolutely,
and it's not a. Let's see if this person looks handsome or beautiful. We need to have a context of who this person might be. And
with how important social media is anymore, if they're not comfortable doing that, if they fall over their words and can't put together a 2-minute rehearsed video
or
to
know
send
how to
in,
do it, that's
a problem.
That's a deal breaker right there, immediate deal breaker. And then we send out a what we call a position questionnaire, which is their basic philosophies on different 18 to 22 different questions about that specific position and how they answer that, along with background checks, reference checks, and so forth. I mean, it's very involved. So by the time that potential candidate gets to the dealership, you got a lot of information about him or her.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of phone conversation, setting up a face-to-face interview, and boom, you make the hire. So we'll get
they're
them
involved.
down to...
I mean, relocating. We relocated a gentleman into Western PA for Colonial Motor Group, for Colonial Motor Mall. He moved his entire family across the country. So we do a lot of that.
Right.
A lot of that.
Right.
That's a big chunk of Danielle Burke's job, is relocating for management positions.
Right.
So, that's in. Unfortunately, when I talk to clients, prospective clients about that, the things they've tried are inefficient and expensive. They've usually worked with an actual headhunter who's not from our industry and doesn't get it.
Right.
And is going to charge a huge fee.
Yes.
Huge fee. I always laugh when we get a lead or something, and that's more than I wanted to spend. I'm like,
right.
I understand, and we'll work with people. There's smaller stores out there, independent stores. Everyone's got different budgets. I get it.
Right.
Headhunters charge 20% of first year salary.
$20,000 higher to 30,000. We're charging $5,000, $6,000.
We're pretty cheap. So, if you have been going that route and been working with a true headhunter, we can do the same thing and probably do it better and cheaper, to be honest with you.
Right, exactly. So that's our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So where do you think we want to go? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go this year, 3 years, 5 years? How do you see it? If you close your eyes and you go, okay, this is, this thing's turning into, Dad's, isn't going to do this forever. Where do I really want to take this company? Where do I want AutoMax to be? Whatever.
Yeah. So a couple things. I think we talked about it, and I am a nitpicker at process, but I do feel finally comfortable enough with the process that it's scalable, which we talked about. And
it is scalable.
We are scaling it both internally with the resources and number of people that we have available as recruiters for remote recruiting, but also a big part of it was bringing on Brian as our director of marketing to scale out our marketing efforts so that we can just start grabbing everybody. Because we've worked off referrals and repeats
forever,
years in organic traffic, and there's nothing wrong with that, and we're still getting a ton of organic traffic to our website, but to really amp that up and start taking on a ridiculous amount of new clients and new leads, we had to feel comfortable being able to handle that. And I talk about the thing that they're going to try out with Andy right here. Part of the reason we haven't done that before is because I wasn't comfortable. You could get a dealer, you get a 3 or 4, small group, and they're hiring for every position across those. That could have put us out of business 2 years ago.
Right, made us look real bad.
Right. So I feel comfortable that now we can scale this out to whatever level we really want it to. And you can talk about, divisions and managers underneath myself. I feel pretty good that we can expand at whatever rate we feel we're comfortable with this year and beyond.
Right. Well, where you're at in your career specifically, it's so weird, man. When you get, because you've always been very, very aggressive. But as you get older, you get a little more cautious.
Sure.
And I think it's a good mix now with you coming in where it's like, you can push the envelope a little bit more than I would because I'm more in, not totally by any means, but I'm in a little bit of protection mode.
Sure.
Personally, financially, and this and that, it's like, so it's exciting for me to have you to be able to say, okay, Dad, it's a little risk reward here thing here. And what's really exciting to me is you're a very conservative person. So I know you're not going to, let's tear it down.
Yeah.
Is not your style. So,
well, and I'll tell you, part of the reason I'm not for that is I've always tried to pride myself on being able to do what all my employees do. So I think part of the problem when you get maniacs like that, or, I talk about bad owners in the NFL. They've never done these other things.
Right.
So I'm going to tear it down. You guys do this. That's flipping hard. Reinventing yourself and making 180-degree pivots and then throwing it at a bunch of people that feel no real commitment to you or obligation to you, it's never going to work.
No.
They're not in it. They're not. Now, if you see something, a trend that is coming, and you know you need to pivot away from something, and you got people that are bought in, then you can do something like that. But no, I would never feel the need to do that just to do that to satisfy some ego. But having said that, and talking about being slightly more open to risk or new things than you, something that Brian and I, again, have talked about is venturing out into other industries, parallel industries, talking about the mortgage industry, the real estate industry, and the skills being transferable and the challenges being transferable. Brian knows more about it than I do. He spent 15, 20 years in the mortgage industry. Those people, it is hard to find good loan consultants.
That blows my mind, but true, I guess.
It really is. And he said there's as much, if not bigger, turnover there in the number of shops, the number of small shops and big shops nationwide for loan consultants, mortgage loan consultants is huge.
Right.
There's a big need for it.
Right.
The obstacle that we keep coming up against is that it's hard. It's actually become very hard because of all the red tape and stuff that they put on the industry, the regulations to get licensed within the industry.
Probably a good thing because it was a mess.
Because it was a free-for-all, right? So now it's a little bit harder, and you got a ton of tests you got to go through, pay to get licensed, et cetera. And it's more getting to square one is now more challenging in that industry than it is in the automotive industry. Automotive industry, most places are willing to give you a chance, and there's not much more than the
out
desire
of the
to
tens of thousands of people that apply to positions that we offer, there's got to be a lot of people that could go into the mortgage business.
Sure, it could go either way and be good at either one.
Yeah, vice versa. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So that's why, I look at it and see as an area for future opportunity. And you do get to a point where you get a little concerned about having all your eggs in one basket when you feel like the skills and the process that you've developed over the years are transferable to other areas, and there's really no reason to keep your attention 100%, 80-20 automotive to other industries, but you'd like to explore other areas.
Right. What do you see for dealers in 2020? What in terms of staffing and people? What is there any one thing that you would say, okay, here, whether it be basic, advanced, whatever, that, okay, as an owner of a dealership or executive manager of a dealership, this year in regard to human capital, I'm going to do what? Anything pop into your head that's like really important that they really need to focus on that we've seen?
I think I keep hitting on it, and it keeps coming back to it, is be open-minded and hire more for a type of person and a culture fit than for a resume.
Okay.
You sit around with unemployment at 3.2, depending on what market you're in, all the way down to 1.5%, up to 3.5% at the best case scenario.
Right.
If you're sitting around waiting for a resume to land in your lap that is, this is the guy I want, and for that matter, completely ignoring the type of human being that they are, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yes.
But especially now, whereas before you it's just numbers game. Recruiting is a numbers game on a lot of levels. When the net's not as big, when the haul's not as big as far as what you're throwing out there, what you get back, you have to start thinking outside the box, and you got to be more open-minded.
Yeah.
And you just got to change your perception of what a quote-unquote good candidate looks like as opposed to what you used to think. And I'll have that happen a lot of time with our clients, and I have to have a tough conversation with them where, hey, we didn't get anything out of this. So okay, well, let me dig in and look at it and get back to you, because I'm not just going to sit there and say, we stunk, we blew it. I want to dig in and see what actually happened
and
here.
Change it.
Right. So I'll talk to the recruiter and I'll look at the pipeline. But if I go in there and I see we set 60, 70 appointments, and I start going through the resumes, and then I talk to the recruiter, and it's, Joe, these were good people. I had conversations with these people.
Right.
I understand they were a shift manager at McDonald's for the past 2-3 years. This is a good candidate. Then I got to go back to the client and have a conversation and say, look, dude, I think you might be missing on something here.
Yes.
And we'll look at, I said, I'll sit down and say, what about this candidate?
Right.
And if they say, hey, I see what you're saying.
Right.
This guy had an attitude. He came in. I don't like the way he dressed.
Right.
He came in. And we should probably talk about the way they dressed. We should talk about that.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
You bet.
I don't know that I fall on one side or the other. And again, part of this is being that ex-ennial.
Right.
Where
well,
I
see,
have
you can
so
get
much
sold on someone comes in all suited up, looking sharp.
And they're crap.
Totally.
It's just all
that
appearance.
totally,
it
happens both ways.
No, for sure.
Definitely.
I'm so much on the border, and that's why I say technically I do fall into the millennial bracket, but I don't relate. I just don't
Yeah,
relate with
right.
that era at all.
Right.
When I was going through college and when I was in business school, you wear flipping black. There are like 2 options for men on a job interview, and I imagine the women options are pretty similar.
Right.
It's we got taught that. That was part of our classes of what you wear to a job interview. It doesn't matter what the job interview is, especially if it's a professional environment. You know,
Right.
I don't care if it's a retail job and you're selling clothes at Hot Topic. I mean, there's a way you're supposed to dress for a job interview.
Yes.
So I see that side of it.
Yes.
But like you said, times are changing, things are different, unemployment's extremely low. You might have to look past that a little bit for a really good candidate. And again, it's a full. You got to take it's the whole picture.
Right.
So someone comes in,
Right.
They're not dressed the way you would prefer they be dressed,
Right.
and they're got a bad attitude. They want to sit there and talk about themselves for half an hour. They want to ask you what you're going to do for them. That's fine.
Yeah.
Kick them out of there.
How much money am I going to
Sure,
make? You know,
that's
see
fine.
ya.
There's a lot that goes into an interview process
Right.
and what the things you should consider. So my thing is be open-minded, though, and understand that, again, just basic supply and demand of labor, principles of economics, 101 stuff here. You got to step up your game, and you got to do some things you wouldn't normally do when unemployment's this low.
Dealers don't give up. I tell you, and a lot of it's proprietary, so we cannot divulge how we do some of these things as much as we'd like to, but that's how we make a living. So
And honestly, if we could, you wouldn't want to do them anyway, so don't worry about it.
that's a fact too, right?
It's funny. Real quick, I'll let you go back to
go
it.
ahead.
Matt was asking me what I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to go broad and big picture and just beautiful, philosophical, emotional intelligence stuff because I'm so
18 minutes
passionate about it. He's like, well, I kind of wanted you guys to talk about interviewing and recruiting. I'm like, oh, dude, that's every day of my life.
Right.
60 hours a week. Do I have to sit here? And then I finally came around to it, and I said, you know what? I am going to talk about that stuff because it might be commonplace, and
Exactly.
for me, it's just
Right.
a reflex.
Right.
But
Right.
there's a lot in there.
Yes.
And it's hard to do, and it's information that
Right.
most people don't have and don't know. So if you go out there and you put it out there, you're probably going to help more than a handful of people of telling them, here's the things that you need to do to effectively recruit with unemployment this low.
Exactly right. That leads right into what I was going to say is that with unemployment so low, it's as a dealer, you could almost, screw it. How am I going to find anybody with this low unemployment? The workforce is blah, 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 and come up with all the excuses. Whereas what we found this year, and I don't have the exact count yet, but I know for a fact we interviewed more people this year than ever before and had way more applications than ever before.
Yeah,
now,
for
there's
sure.
a big, huge ghosting issue in our industry, but there's zero doubt. I mean, there's been years in the past where it was like we'd have a number of stinky deals during the course of the year. This year, I don't know. I can't.
Not many.
It's like
It's usually due to weather or just
Right.
if we're in a real low population area that's just not another town
Right.
around for 2 hours, there's
Right.
only so much you can do.
right, exactly. So I've been it's like because we get data every day from our trainers around in the field. We get a sheet emailed to us every night with a lot of data on it and statistical information. And it's like every day, it's like there's just a lot of people that we find that just continues to blow dealers' minds. It blows my mind sometimes.
Sure.
Like, how do
People
where are we? Dakota, what?
Here's another one. With unemployment this low, logically, you're going to have to recruit people that are currently employed in other jobs.
Yeah.
Be okay with that and accept that any person worth a damn is going to put in a 2 weeks notice and not be able to start at your store immediately. And
It's a
that's
mouthful.
every position. That's sales all the way up to whatever, technicians.
That's right.
That's okay.
Right. Why would you want it any other way? Why would you want to hire a person that says, "Oh, screw it,
That'll
I'll
walk
just
out the
quit."
door and start the next day. So
Right,
you
because they'll
can't
do it to you. So I don't.
You're just, again, it's fine. We can do it that way if you're only taking people that can
Right.
start the next day.
Right.
But you're limiting yourself to anybody who's currently unemployed.
Right, and it's not a long play.
No.
And you have to be in it. In any business, you got to be in it for the long play. You have to be. That goes back to your point about creating a farm system, so to speak, with technicians or with your sales department. Long play. Let's develop people. Let's develop women and men in our dealership that are going to be there a long time. Give them a path of opportunity, whether it be in your store or out of your store, whatever. Let's develop those people. Hire for the long term. The long term. Let's not just react to, oh my God, we need sales. It's January, so let's hire 6 guys. And, get into that mode, man.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for disaster. For sure. I wanted to talk about customer service, and this is something I've been making some posts. I'm going to continue on that, frankly. Yelp, Google reviews, on and on and on and on. Now, it's kind of tricky in the car business. A lot of what I can't imagine being a car dealer right now and working a car deal, and you couldn't get together with the deal. The person goes home, they gives you a Yelp review or Google review, and it says, yeah, they wouldn't give me enough for my trade. I mean, that's horseshit. That's just so messed up that people do that in the society that we're in, that'll happen. True customer satisfaction. And I know, you guys, you review restaurants and stuff before you go eat
Always.
there. Yeah.
Pretty much every time
Right.
first time I'm going to go to a restaurant.
Right. And I think they're legit. I don't know what else. I guess a hotel would be a good place to review before you stay there if you haven't
I do
gone
that
there
as well.
before, right?
Well, here's why.
Uber
With
driver.
those two types of things, you either had to have had a really good experience at
Right.
that place or a really bad experience. Those are usually the only 2 times you're going to go out of your way to leave a review.
Probably, yes.
So, if there's not a lot of one or the other, you usually get your answer somewhere in the middle, and you got to read through the lines. But, I understand what you're saying, and I can't imagine. It's got to be brutal
Right.
where, and these things actually matter. These are things that people actually use to
paid
make
on.
purchasing decisions.
Right. Well, and from it affects salespeople, managers' pay.
Their pay, it's rough. Yeah, that's a tough environment.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do this year and put it on the universe is create an environment for AutoMax and for our dealer clients of true customer satisfaction, of really chasing a satisfied almost sounds average. Raving fan is a cliche. But someone that really goes, wow, you guys really over-delivered. I'm so happy I called you. I'm so happy so-and-so recommended you. I'm going to talk about you guys that are in my next 20 group. That's the kind of customer satisfaction that I'd like to see for our company
Sure.
going into 2020.
And it's a good to great thing, like we've been talking about,
Yes.
because we get that a lot.
Right.
Ben Burton bought you a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Right?
It's crazy.
Right. So, and
Thanks, Ben.
And we went out of our way to try and buy Christmas presents for a lot of our clients this year, and got turned down in a lot
Right.
of cases. Of
Right.
you don't have to do that, man.
Guys, take our money. Take our gifts. Come on now.
But it would be taking it to the next level, like you said, of turning all of our clients into those types of clients.
Right.
Yeah.
I want that so bad. I want that so bad. And the only way that happens, because I can think it and I can try it and I can do whatever I can do to do it, so can you, so can Ernie. But it's going to take everybody.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Every single one of our team members,
Yeah.
recruiter, trainer, internal staff, what have you. It has to be a focus for us. And there's obviously zero downside, because then it just self-perpetuating and it snowballs into bigger and more business and so on and so forth. But more importantly than that, for me, is I want our company to be so well thought of. Again, Kleenex is a really good tissue, right? I want AutoMax to be that Kleenex and to be the top, the best tissue in every single way possible. And to do that, we have to go that 1 inch extra step, that one extra, whatever it is,
Yeah.
to ensure it.
Yeah.
And it's so hard sometimes, because sometimes, I've seen, people, business would be great if it wasn't for customers and employees. It'd be awesome owning your own business.
Right.
But it's all about that,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, and a lot of it comes back to where we started at the top of the show with servant leadership, because everything
Yeah.
that you're saying,
Yeah.
if we're not going to instill that in our employees and empower them, because in
There
a
you
lot of
go.
cases, they're touching at least as many clients as I myself have,
Yep.
and on a more intimate level, because they're the ones actually dealing with them. So it's funny, our business works very similar to a car dealership, and the way that trickle down is, and who's actually talking to the customers, and our customers being, of course, managers and dealers and service managers at car dealerships. So we have to empower them and give them the ability to, provide that type of service for our clients.
Right. Yep. Do you bonus people on customer satisfaction? As a vendor in our world, because I know they do it at car dealerships. I wonder if we do that. Do we pay people for?
So for me, I don't like what you just mentioned, and I think there's a lot of people in the automotive industry that would agree that that's not really a fair way to do it, and you're creating more. You're decentivizing more than you're incentivizing, because they don't have true control over that, and it's a pretty abstract thing.
Right.
So I would rather treat it as an abstract thing, and I think we did it last year where we decided to do quarterly bonuses through the course of the year instead of waiting to the end of the year or setting out goals. And I did some goals, and I think it achieved its point. We did Amazon gift card goals for all of our recruiters and salespeople,
and people really kicked butt with that.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that sort of thing, and I love that personal competition. Dealerships have always been great at that. Spiffs, things like that. That's cool. That's cool stuff. I do think there's a place for that, but I think you have to go a step above that and have a good pulse on who's doing an above average job and let them know. I mean, it doesn't always just have to be money. We don't have to just talk about money.
Right.
Sometimes pulling someone aside and telling them, I'm really proud of you. What you did on this was exceptional. And then just throw the money in afterwards, but take,
I like that.
look them in the eye, or for us, do a phone call and point out a specific one. It's not you've been doing great. This specific deal, you went above and beyond. You killed it. I'm giving you an extra 2% commission on
You
this.
do that a lot. I mean, you do it with the schedulers.
I did a lot this year. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because and again, I think that
Does that come out of your bonus money or mine?
No comment. Our company structure is a little wonky.
Interesting.
But it's recognizing it and seeing it, but you have to have your finger on the pulse too. So again, it's a little easier for us because we're a little smaller compared to dealerships, and we have a finger on it. But again, it comes from the top down. So if a GM is empowering his sales managers to do those things and telling him, you need to keep an eye on these people and you got to find out who it is, and I'm giving you the authority to bonus them this money.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be specific. Don't micromanage. Don't say, hey, have you given out this quarterly bonus? Maybe everyone sucked this quarter and you don't have to give it out to anybody. But trust that person and empower that person that they're going to make the right decision. That when the time comes up, they're going to step up, and that person's going to know, and they're going to feel good about the job they've been doing.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's good. I like that stuff. That's a good way to go. We have to. I need to thank a couple other friends of the program here.
Talk about Troy.
Troy Spring. Did you see where'd he go? Him and his fancy wife.
Troy's island hopping right now.
Guy lives a fancy life, man. I'm going to tell you what. He he must have raised his fees to dealers, I think.
He earned it. We love you, Troy. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, you're awesome, Troy. 5 years, 6 years?
5 years, he said.
5 years. Where is Troy Spring?
So Troy had a post recently, and I commented on it, and I loved it, where he talked about they're adding some serious beef and technology to all their services here in 2020.
And
Antigua. Barbados.
No, Barbuda. Barbuda?
Is that Troy? Is that a typo?
Oh,
Troy?
that must be Antigua and.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So he made a post talking about all
Dealer World, Troy Spring.
Yes. He made a post about Dealer World adding some teeth to what their platform that they offer, and he's big on full transparency, and you can log into your dashboard and spy on us anytime you want, and we'll be more than happy to show you exactly where we're spending your money on, what we're spending your money on, et cetera, the results.
For a marketing company, that's ballsy.
Yeah, absolutely. But, did you see my comment on it? And it's funny because this is something that you and I will go back and forth on. And oddly enough, the first generation is usually is more to where it's usually the younger generation where you want to automate, you want to AI.
Right.
What can we not do?
Right.
What can we have done automatically?
It is a weird dynamic.
And I always fight you on it and say, I think there needs to be a personal touch on it. So Troy said something that I loved, combining this technology with human intelligence, our human intelligence. Everyone wants to talk about artificial intelligence, and it's fine, and we have an insane amount of technology at our disposal now, but it's almost got to a point where that should be automatic. That stuff should already be a part. Where you're going to win now is the stuff that Gary Vee talks about.
Emotional
Troy called it
intelligence.
human intelligence, but
Right.
I think it comes back to emotional intelligence.
is.
And you've talked about it. You got to have IQ and EQ. You got to have both.
Yes,
You know,
right.
you got to have a certain amount of just smarts.
Right.
You just do.
Right. Can't fix stupid.
So Troy's talking about when you combine the team that we have and the quality of the human beings that we have working at this company with the technology that I've implemented, no one else is going to offer that for you. You might get one or the other from somebody else, but you're not going to get both.
Yeah, you check in with Hunter Swift, with any of the people at Dealer World, with Troy Spring. Go to mydealerworld.com, mydealerworld.com. They're a friend of the program. Awesome people. And not just because they're friends of ours, they get stuff done. We have a lot of mutual clients, and it's just they rave about this guy. You know, Andy Wright being one. You know, it's just they really get it done, and they're growing, and they're growing, and they're growing, and they're growing. And they have a very strong focus right now. They're a great group of people. They're good people. Go figure. You know, all the good organizations have a lot of good people in them.
Sure.
Duh. And let's knock on another one while we're going that way. Is our friends at Tacobi? You mentioned Dan Webb here a little bit ago. Was on the show several months ago. But
And they're doing big things and making big changes too. They just recently added. I saw they're offering full service BDC department services to dealerships now, where Tacobi can be your BDC department. And it seemed like they were probably headed in that direction for a while. If you're not familiar with the model, they offer kind of a add-on to their lead generation services where their ninjas will respond. If you're slacking, they're going to jump on these leads. Well, now they said, to hell with it, we're just going to take it a step further and we'll run your entire BDC for you.
That's right. They might as well. I think it's a huge opportunity because that'll do nothing but fuel their main service anyway.
Yeah,
their main product.
It just feeds itself. You're controlling the quality control. At that point, you can now be fully accountable for results because you're running the whole thing. And that's something that I'm envious of because I mentioned we have to rely on our clients to be honest with themselves and honest with us that they can do the rest of it. And a lot of times they can't and they're lying and it comes back on us, and hey, we're not perfect. Sometimes we fall up short, but when we do our job and a client doesn't do their job, that puts everybody in a bad spot. At the end of the day, they're still not happy, but we have to let them know you came up short right here. Well, they've taken that out of the equation here. So now we're going to generate the lead, we're going to communicate with the lead, we're going to set the appointment, and then obviously dealership's got to close the door, you know, but you at least, this is something you can point to and say, we did this, 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 and this. It's done. Knock it down. I mean,
So, you know,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. They're a great company and growing, obviously. And, you know, he just bought a Rolls Royce, so things must be all right. Jason, what a trip, man. They're unique people, man. I can't imagine, and he was in other businesses. I can't imagine Jason Gardner being anything other than the car business. It just kind of blows my mind. But he was. He's never done retail, and he's killing it. It's like, you know, which shows you something. You know, you can take other skills and they transfer back into the automobile business quite well.
It's sales, man. I think the reason it's that a lot of people end up in this is the one industry that gives you just full...
Jason just came out. He says, it looks like I came out
yes,
at
he
the right
did,
time.
Sir.
Yes, he did.
It's just a mindset. It gives you, and it's the perfect platform to give you free creative license to go as big as you want, to do whatever you want with it. And it's really, you know, you limit yourself.
Well, that's what Jason's doing. He is, I mean, his goals are seamless, endless.
Why not?
It's
Absolutely.
Like he's going at it.
Right.
I don't see much stopping him. I really don't. I don't see much stopping him. He's got big ass goals, and he's surrounded himself with awesome people, and that's gonna play well for him. So, if for more information, reach out to Dan Webb, reach out to Jason. Scarlett, they're all very visible on social media, or go to tecobi.com, TECOBI.com, and give those people have a conversation with them. After the conversation. And they don't pull any punches. So they're not going to sit there and hold your hand and wimp their way through a sale here. So buckle up, but listen. Don't get everything off your plate, close the door to your office, and listen to what they have to say. And hear them, understand it, then make a decision, pull the trigger, let them handle it, and your numbers are going to go goofy. So they're going to have it's be interesting to see what they do in 2020. Their year's going to be stupid big. Scott Orsini's watching. That's cool. Scott, I hope you're okay. Jason Gardner said Dan has made a few people cry like babies. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's awesome.
That's funny stuff, man. Hey, Scott Orsini, hope you're doing well, my friend. And I know you and Ernie had a conversation the other day. I was thinking about original AutoMax deals campaigns, and man, you were one of the first. You were one of my first accounts, and I appreciate you so much. You were a new dealer just starting out, and I was starting out this company. And man, 22 years later, we're still doing business with you, and we appreciate you so much, man. And we hope your health's well and you're doing well. And anything we can ever do for you, Scott, just let us know. You're an
I think
awesome
we're doing
person.
some recruiting for Scott right now, actually.
Yeah, just awesome people, man.
Yep.
That was. Hey, Scott. I am doing well. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Hope everything's well there in beautiful Connecticut. That was that executive group was, that was only maybe 3 months into AutoMax.
Oh, yeah?
2-3 months into AutoMax, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. And Scott had just taken off that store. We were younger back then, Scott.
Stick figure line ad in the newspaper?
Yeah, man. That's what it was. Yep, on a legal pad. Fax it over to the newspaper and run an ad. It's crazy. I can't believe we've come from that to this.
Yep.
Our partner, Ernie, got on. Hello, Guy Smiley. Welcome. Ernie Kasprowitz. So, state of the car business, 2020. People. Human capital is so important. Please don't lose focus of this. It is absolutely key. Don't get behind on it. Don't give up. Don't throw your hands up and say, I can't deal with it. Or treat it as a secondary expense or problem or issue, man. You have to embrace it. You are your people. You are your people. From every single person, from the porter to the president and everyone in between. The success, failure, growth, or decline of your store or stores is going to be directly related to the talent you surround yourself with, the development and retention of that talent. There's no doubt about it. It has to be that way. And those of you that really grasp onto that, and look past the numbers and look past all the shiny, glitzy stuff. It's all about that man or woman sitting across from you that you're responsible to help feed their family. You're responsible for their growth as a human being, as an employee, as a team member. And you got to treat them that way. And I know it's hard at times, man. I know it's hard. But it's...
Yeah, when you got to treat yourself that way. I had that conversation with Christina the other night where, it's a Sunday and there's things I got to do for work. There just are. And just a paycheck or just the success of the company, that stuff doesn't drive you. When you know the human element and you know the people you work with and you understand that these, however many people and their families are dependent on me, Yeah, it's stressful, but it's like you said, if it wasn't stressful, everybody would own a business. Everybody would be doing their own thing.
Right.
It's a big responsibility. You have to own that responsibility and be aware of how many people are dependent on you for their livelihood. And like I said, own it, celebrate it, and just embrace it, and realize that what you're doing is important, and it involves more than just the bottom line and quote unquote success or winning. It involves human beings and all their stories and their happiness.
Right, boy, and that's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
You can't drive yourself crazy. You don't
Right.
want to wear it too much. I mean, enjoy what you're doing too.
Right.
But at the end of the day, realize if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be the alpha, if you're going to be a leader, you have to accept those responsibilities and be aware of what's really on the plate for you.
Yeah.
And
well, it's easy to remove yourself. You get to a point where you make X amount of money or X
Right.
amount of whatever, and then it becomes difficult to bring yourself back into focus with the people that really. It's really not about you or I. It's really about everybody else on the team.
But it's
Without them, we're screwed.
Right, but it's symbiotic because
It is.
you've built them to the level that they're at.
Right.
So it's funny because I'll catch myself doing that too, and I'm sure Jason goes through it, and anybody that's the top of a successful company. Troy, you mentioned he's out island hopping now. He's earned it. You've
Right.
paid so much of your dues, and you've been the type of leader that has empowered the people underneath you that you don't have to micromanage and worry about this little problem, this little problem, this little problem throughout the course of the day.
That's a great point.
That those people are in a point that they can run with it and be fast and be efficient and make you the money so that you can then, it's just back and forth. So then you can then share that money with them and pay it right back into the company.
Yeah.
I mean, it works both ways.
Yeah, it's fun being able to positively affect people's lives like
Sure.
that. It really is. It's fun for me. It's fun to see our team, which has been with us a long time for the most part. It's fun to see them grow and to get more. It's just as simple to make more money. It's
Absolutely
turns me
and
on,
of course, the byproduct of that is you're being more successful too. But yeah, it's a weird relationship to where it somehow feels better to see other people grow and succeed than to see yourself succeed. Is that Jason?
Yeah. I'm gonna read. I don't read a lot of these things, but
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll read Jason's. I saw a question this morning about this is from Jason. I saw a question this morning about what a green pea should do first. The comments contain things like, quote, look for the screw bender, quote, put up balloons, quote, unquote, shut up, etc. This is a problem in our
Jeez,
business
man.
faces. A lot of people looking to put others down instead of lift them up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was Scott Klein. Scott
Oh,
posted that.
that's
Scott,
right.
Scott throws up a lot of good questions.
He
That gets
does.
good dialogue going.
He does. Yeah, he's the king at that, I'd say.
Yeah, and look, we're not turning into dealer beat up hour, but if you don't think these types of things and this type of thinking are still going on in this industry, you're wrong.
Yep.
And it's why we talk about them. It's why I've tried to put an emphasis on emotional intelligence, and why I'm going to keep talking about it every Friday at 5:00 because. You call it whatever you want, and I don't know if it's because it's a male-dominated industry, and you get into the King Kong stuff and beating your chest, and
Maybe.
it's not okay to be nice, and nice equals meek. It's just BS, man. You're just gonna come up short, and you're gonna hurt yourself and hurt everybody else in the industry too. I mean, it's got to change.
I gotta pee.
Yeah,
You're
go
gonna
for
have
it.
to roll for this for a minute.
Well, let me see. I want to see what Jason's saying. I'm going to have a conversation with Jason via your phone, and I know you have, Jason. I see it all the time, and I was going to mention how jealous I am that we can't do a lot of the things that you do internally to build culture. I saw your Friday massage sessions where, man, I wish we could do that for our people. Massages are phenomenal. It's a great stress relief, and it's a good way to show your people that you care about them. It's tough for us to build a culture like that when everybody's working remote. But, that's, for the most part, things that I've been talking about and want to keep talking about is just treating your people the way you want your people to treat your clients, and things usually go well from there. I'm sorry. I got to take a break here for a minute, too. One thing that, we were just talking a minute ago about areas that we have kind of come up short over the past year. And my dad hit on it, and I don't know if it's somewhere we've come up short, but it is somewhere that we've have to improve on. Is negative talk. And Jason, you were just talking about it here as far as negative talk within the industry. Negative talk about clients or about prospective clients can kind of feed into that. And it's just the whole negative scene where if you're talking to someone and there's a client of yours and they're experiencing pain on any level whatsoever, regardless if you're completely at fault, 1% at fault, 50% at fault, the bottom line is they're dissatisfied in some manner, and it's your job to kind of get to the bottom of it, show some empathy, understand where they're coming from, understand what their expectations were, and dig a little deeper and see if there's things that you can do to improve their experience. Now, you might get to the end of that road and you might realize, no, there's not anything else we could have done. There's not any other way that I can help this person. But in most cases, when you dig a little deeper and you use a little empathy and you understand where that person's coming from and you treat them like a human being, it can turn real quick from confrontational to empathetic and sympathetic. And I totally get what you're saying, and we're going to look at this and we're going to find a way to do this better next time, or we're going to fix this right now. And then from there, set your expectations for them. Reset the expectations. I'm going to do this. Here's what I need you to do. Those conversations usually end really well. And we have gotten better at that, but I know it's something I'm talking about, how you mentioned internally going along with the better customer service theme. No more negative talk about clients, prospective clients. Just get it out of your head, Be empathetic, be understanding, look at it from their point of view. And again, you could get to the end and the resolution might be this person cannot be helped. I cannot help this person, and that's okay too. Right. But give it a chance and just shut up for a second and put the ego away and see what they're really saying.
Yeah. The customer's always right mantra has been used for a long time, and the customer is not always right.
No, that got taken too literally, but the meaning behind that is true.
Right. Well, what I see and we've seen and we've discussed internally a lot is vendors like almost going out of their way to beat up on dealers, which are their clients, and
it can get bad,
stupid. Yeah. But we have our aggravations on a daily basis sometimes where, our expectations for our dealers are pretty high.
Right.
We expect a dealer to be as passionate about fulfilling their needs as sometimes more so. Like, we're so into it. It's like, and if they don't get up to it, it's tough.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dad's reading the message that Jason just posted on the live page. We were talking about culture, and I missed it. Jason, was talking about his culture and how an employee of his,
Evan's on,
has been a big part of that for them and instilling that within their company. And it's kind of cool. It comes full circle because he actually came through. One of our recruiters, John Yu, sat down with him and did his initial interview and helped identify him for Jason.
That's cool. And the other Jason is on. How are you, Jason?
You're not going to tackle that last name?
I forget how you pronounce
Jason. Jason, can you phonetically spell out your last name for us?
Phonetically, Jason, how do you say your last name? I've screwed this up for years, dude. I'm so sorry. And I really, Jason, our condolences in regard to your mom and your loss here a few weeks ago. That was a tough time, dude. So hang in there. Things will get better. And thanks for hopping on the show. Appreciate it. Appreciate you all watching, actually. So, excuse me. So texting, we covered that is just a little thing that really helped us this year in terms of helping to recruit other to make things easier and more effective, quicker, and so forth. And we talked about quickness, and that was
speed.
I think speed is really important in what you said. It's so it's so important. You can't let that lead, which a potential new hire is. I mean, they are a lead, and if you treat them any differently than that, you're really missing the boat. That person can create hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue for you regardless of their position. It's important. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's a porter or whatever, man. You got to treat those people spot on. Get on them, get them in, interview them, make a decision, and go. And once you make that decision, that's another thing we probably should talk about a little bit is onboarding. man, once you say yes to somebody, do it formally, do it via email, do it electronically, get that person on board, get as much as you can get done electronically via email, what have you. Get that done so when they physically show at your store, the development, the training can start then and there instead of starting them off with a big pile of paperwork. But it's so important that we see it, unfortunately, too much. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's getting a little bit better, but maybe it's because we've been talking about it. We talked on the Recruiter series on our YouTube channel, and Recruit to Retain, your series on the channel. But it's important that once you say, hey, you're in, you're hired, congratulations, you're coming to work at King Kong Motors, get their ass to work. I mean, you can't let that person sit around for 3, 4, 5, 6 days. I don't get it.
You can't let them sit around for 6 hours.
You can't. You can't.
Yeah, we talk about
and it's
it
all
a lot.
excuses. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
DMV. It's not. Go get it. Bring it in.
Yeah.
Right. The new hire can do that. Drug test. You go down. You pee. They cut your hair. It's back the next day.
Yeah.
Background check. If you're not, our background checks we run for dealers are 24 hours.
24 hours.
If you're not in a 24-hour background check turnaround, you're with a wrong company.
Yeah, we were working with someone not too long ago, and I mean, it had been a week. And I go, dude,
right?
Look, I don't mean to
I remember that.
bug you here, but
It's insanity.
what's going on? Are you seriously still waiting on the background check? And we do a real good
They
job.
hired a private eye to go follow.
Right,
the
I
person.
guess so. But we do a real good job. I tell our recruiters, if you have someone on the hook, they have to become friends with that person and keep them.
Right.
But there's only so much they can do to stall that person.
Right.
It gets to a certain point, and that guy or girl is going to say,
Right.
"This is dumb. I'll see you guys later." If this
Exactly.
is the speed at which you conduct a background check, I don't want anything to do with this organization. It speaks to who you are as a
Right.
company, and you still are selling yourself at that point to this person that you potentially want to hire. So yeah, speed's a big part of it. We could roll this right into talking about Automotive HR, as we haven't talked to them yet.
Let's.
Stephen Warner, owner of Automotive HR. Stephen's worked hard to somewhat rebrand himself. He still does the recruiting side of it and still has a number of tools in there to get your job visible and
This
in front
is
of as many
interesting what
people as
Joe's about to
possible.
say.
But he's really revolutionized the back end of it to where he's focusing a lot now on Automotive HR as a tool being for electronic onboarding,
Yes.
HR management,
Yes.
compliance,
Yeah.
etc., starting people out on the right foot. And it's huge. You really have to go in and take a look at it to see what all encompasses. But unfortunately, it is kind of revolutionary within our industry where when I, talk to dealers about this and ask what they're doing, I'm like, well, you're using electronic onboarding. More often than I'd like to admit, I hear, what is that?
Right.
I'm like, well, how did you start with the company? What are you doing right now? Well, I guess I filled out some paperwork. I'm like, well, you're not doing electronic onboarding then.
Right.
So then I have to start at square one and talk to them about what they're doing. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. And I'll tell you a big reason why we don't see more of it is the change thing, the pain of change. And even if they are working with one of the other competitors out there that provide this type of service and HR management tool, to get your information out of that, it's turned into kind of a CRM situation where nobody wants to change their CRM no matter how much it sucks. Because to pull all that information out, get it into a new one, and get trained in the new one is brutal.
Right.
So you just keep using something even though it's a broken process.
Or just go from paper to electronics.
Right.
It drives me nuts. This is so foolish, and I'm opening myself up here. My bank statements coming in the mail in my mailbox.
Yeah.
I have to open an envelope, and the paper it
it's
ends up getting
obnoxious.
shredded.
Sure.
It's stupid.
It is stupid.
To get switched over to electronic banking is like, come on, Craig, get with it, man. Because I talk about it here. I mean, to have a centralized platform for all your HR needs in a car dealership, for the people in the office, it's a game changer, man.
Yeah, well, so a couple things. I talked about earlier about how HR managers a lot of times don't have time to recruit. This is why they don't have time to
Exactly right.
recruit.
That's
So
exactly
you want to put us out of business and hire real HR managers?
Right.
You're going to have a tool like this
Correct.
because your HR manager can't be sitting there filing paperwork and compliance docs with the EOTC all
Right.
flipping day long.
Right.
It needs to be in a computer, for the love of God, people. It's 2020. So it's funny you mentioned, though, the paper thing and the challenge with it. It's gotten to the point that Steven actually is helping people import from pen and paper into the program.
Yes.
So he'll team up with them and say, dude, you need to take a day, scan in PDFs, email me all the PDFs. My team will import these into your system. You're not going to lose any of your paper documents at all, because you have to overcome that hurdle, because that is part of the challenge is the change, is what I'm saying.
It is.
But, other things that go into this, you talk about starting on the right foot. He's turned it into a social network within the platform for your dealership.
Right.
So that when this person starts, they see, here's my boss.
Right.
Here's who I'm reporting to
There you
day
go.
one. Here's what I'm doing day one. Here's their boss. Here's who they report to. Here's the guy running the entire thing. And those people, obviously, we encourage all of them to be users within the system so that there's open communication among each other. And like I said, it's like a social network. You see these people. They can share things. You can share things. You can use it as an instant messenger format.
Yep.
Just really turning it into a full dealership, inner office,
Right. It
communication
forces
tool.
communication on the new hire, frankly.
Yeah, right.
Which is important.
Yep.
It just, and plus, of course, you can still post ads 24/7, 365.
Absolutely.
Which is
Still the
is
job
part of the
posting
whole thing.
side of it.
And the career branding on the website, and that it's hooked up to job boards, and whether it be Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and the other 100 or whatever. There's so many advantages to it. If you're not using a platform like this, or you're currently using a competitor's platform, whether it be Hireology or KPA, this is far superior.
Yeah.
Give us a call. You can call Joe. You can reach out to us. We can help you. You mentioned the Recruiter podcast. You save a couple bucks.
Definitely.
And they're just Automotive HR. Stephen Warner and his team are just top notch, and we really highly recommend them. So, and you can reach out to any one of our recruiter trainer, anybody with any of the 35 people that are with AutoMax. Reach out to them, and we'll get you. Get you a little presentation there that would. It's life-changing. You want to change your human capital this year and how you do it. Just hopefully you've picked up a few things during the course of the show so far that would help you with that. Where do you want to go next here, son?
I don't know. I got about more than another 30 minutes in you. We're pretty busy over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's right. We own and run a company.
I do want to keep hitting on the same thing, because I think everybody should strive for it, and it's what makes this country great, and what this country was founded on is the good to great philosophy and going from good to great. And I heard a quote last week from my buddy Dave Scott, owner of Scott Automotive Marketing Group. He said, I'm talking to a dealer, and I think a lot of the times we do get onto that struggles, vendors. We struggle with the complacency thing,
Right.
where things are okay. So they're not going to make a change. When you get into a situation where you're against a competitor and they need to make a change, and for us, our competition is everything.
Right.
It's not even, there's really not any companies that are recruiting, automotive recruiting companies anymore.
Right.
Our competition now is them doing it themselves,
Right.
or them posting ads on Indeed, or
Correct.
whatever it may be.
Right.
So, this guy says to him, client says to them, you and I talk about pleasure and pain. You talk about pleasure and pain a lot as the motivation or demotivation for sales across the board in all walks of life, everything.
Right.
He says, well, I'm not really experiencing enough pain to make a change right now. And Dave goes, I understand that. That's real. Let me ask you this. Are you experiencing enough pleasure? Do you have enough pleasure in your life? Could you use a little bit more pleasure?
Great question.
And the guy flat out stopped and he said, Dave, no one in 30 years of doing this has ever asked me that. Everyone wants to talk about the pain. They always talk about bring out their pain. We live in one of the greatest times of this country economically, growth-wise, and if you're not thriving right now and doing things to thrive and just getting by and things are good right now and they're not great right now, you're missing the boat.
Yeah, man.
And you're going to be screwed when things aren't on autopilot and you
go.
got to work a little bit harder.
There you go.
So that's one thing that I would like everybody to take away going into 2020 is do better. Just do. I don't care where you're at now. Whether you're at the bottom, you're in the middle, or you're at the top, do better.
Yeah, love it. That's spot on.
Right.
That is so important. That's a learned behavior.
Sure.
Someone's got to tell
That's
you that.
not everybody, right?
Right. Somebody got to tell you that. Then you got to own it, and then you got to work it because that's hard to do, man.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do. It's hard to celebrate.
Exhausting. I mean, it's a daily thing. And look, I also talk about this when I'm talking about emotional intelligence and patting yourself on the back and things like that. You're not going to kick ass 365 days out of the year. You're not a robot, and that's okay. People need to let that crap go, dude.
Fact.
You got to win. I loved when Frank came on, and Frank does his sevens, and everybody, I worked 60 hours this week. Okay. How many hours did you actually work this week? Why don't you go write it down and set a timer, and every time you pull your phone out and do bullshit on your phone, stop that timer, and you tell me how many hours. So
60 turns into 23 in a hurry.
It's about the quality of the work you're putting in and not the quantity. When I see people talking about those, I slept 5 hours last night, I worked 60 hours, it's like, do you really think you're operating at optimum performance on your 5 hours?
Rarely.
Into your 60th hour on that Saturday when all you want to do is be home with your family? It's put more into the quality than the quantity so that the work that we're doing can actually be work and perform at the level that you can perform at, and stop treating yourself like a robot.
Right. Yeah. That was the scariest thing for me when we shut down all the offices. It was like, are these people
Or is everyone
going to
work? Right. If I'm not looking at these people and watching them and making them work, and I think it's been pretty obvious that the amount of work that's going in or the performance hasn't fallen off, and it's probably improved.
I think so too, because if you have a brick and mortar, not that there's obviously wrong with a brick and mortar, but when you have a brick and mortar, understand that if your hours are 9 to 6, people are going to come at 2 minutes at 9, 1 minute after 9. They're going to leave at 5:59, 6 or 6:01.
Right.
Period. End of story, and they're done.
Right.
We're in a situation where our people are on all kinds of weird hours.
Right.
I get
emails from people within the company asking me questions or showing me this, and I'm like, I look at the timestamp and I'm like, what the hell were you doing?
Unbelievable.
And they're like, I didn't expect you to reply. I'm like, well, I always reply. So anytime you email me, I'm going to reply within an hour or so, because it's just the way I am. I'm like, you don't have to feel guilty about that. I was just mentioning the fact that I don't know what the hell you're doing, and that's cool. If that's what you want to do, our people have the freedom to do that.
Right.
But you should want to do that.
Right.
That shouldn't be forced on anyone.
Right.
And if it is, or that's the culture that you've set up, and again, this is part of the problem within the dealership world. I understand how important Saturdays are. I get it. I understand that that's a big day. But you have to make other concessions knowing that you're stealing Saturdays from this person. And you also have to set up an environment where it's fun for them to come in.
Right.
They should want to come in on Saturday and kick ass for themselves and for you.
Right.
That shouldn't be, I have to work Saturday. It's, here comes another Saturday. I'm about to tear it up today.
Right.
That's how you should feel when you're coming to work on that Saturday.
Right. So develop that, write out that culture, envision it, write it out, then hire towards that culture, because that's where it gets screwed up a lot of times. It's like, we can have these thoughts. Here's the way I want to run my company. Here's the way I want to run my business, my department, whatever the case might be. Here's the way I want to run it. Here's my vision for running it this way. I'm totally committed to doing it that way. Then we hire people that is so far out of their abilities.
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen.
Well,
and then you're managing them instead of managing a process.
And I think a lot of that comes to not having a plan before you jump in. And
Correct.
I talked about this on Live at 5 a couple weeks ago, of finding knowing your weaknesses and finding complementary people.
Right.
If you're a visionary and you have awesome ideas, but you know you're not going to sit down with a pen and paper and write out, find someone that can be your right-hand man.
Right.
Pay him like a right-hand man and say, dude, I'm going to come up with a lot of ideas. You're welcome to come up with ideas too.
Yeah.
Your job is to implement my ideas.
Right.
You take this and turn it into something real.
Yep.
And that's important. Not everyone can do both of those. And I stink at thinking outside of the box a lot of the time. I have a hard time going big or going visionary with stuff. And it's why you and I work well together a lot of times, because you'll throw stuff out there and I'm like, the first time I might hear it from you, I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And then I hear it 2 or 3 more times, and my head's been thinking the whole time, how can I actually make that work? How can I take what he's saying and turn that into a real actual thing with a process behind it that provides value to clients?
Right, and a workflow.
And then when that starts going, I'm like, oh shit, we can just do that. And then you can start seeing it, and you start seeing it, and it makes more sense for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, you get a lot of people just throwing ideas out there, and I don't have a process or throwing a culture out there. This sounds great. Let's do this.
Right.
Okay, what do we do?
Right. Let's go buy a foosball table.
Right. Exactly. And that's how that stuff happens.
Probably.
It's just the easiest thing to do is throw
Right.
money at it.
Right.
I'll just throw some money at it.
Yeah. Well, Google does it, so
Right.
must work.
Yeah. Yeah. They did it this way, so we'll just copy that. We'll
Right.
just steal that.
Right. We'll buy everybody pods.
Right.
That's pretty funny, man. That's good stuff.
Again, I hate to say it, but I come back to sports, man. It's the Patriots thing, where most Patriots assistants fail everywhere else because everyone just wants to get a piece of the Bill Belichick pie, and then they realize we're not the Patriots, and we shouldn't be trying. We should be doing our own flipping thing, you know?
Right.
We're just going to do what the Patriots do.
How about
No,
the
you're
names?
not.
How about the names out there for replacing Freddie? It makes me shudder.
Are we gonna go there?
I'm almost done.
Are we going to go there?
I don't know. I'm almost done, man.
So look.
McDaniel. I mean, really? I don't know.
So
McCarthy. Seriously?
I don't want McCarthy.
Right.
So I'm
And of course, Rivera. The only guy that I would even be interested in already got hired. So
he's not 100%, but he's probably going to be hired.
Probably.
So I'm on board with McDaniels. I've accepted it.
yes, I don't know. It's from Ohio.
He's from Ohio. He loves Baker Mayfield. He's a quarterback. It's all he does is work with quarterbacks. At some point, this isn't Romeo Crennel. This isn't who's the Kevin James lookalike in Detroit.
Patrick.
Matt Patricia. This guy, if you listen to people inside the circle that know what's been going on there, he's now part of the Kraft, Brady, Belichick circle. He's been accepted into the secret society. He's in the real meetings where
Why
they're
would he
really.
leave? I mean, he's next in line, right? Or
They
no?
say he actually wants to leave. But see, I don't know if there is. Bill Belichick's going to burn this thing to the ground when he eventually leaves.
would
I don't
think.
think there's a next in line. It's like the Garoppolo thing. You know what I mean? When this dies, it's going to die. They're all done. They have no succession plan for Brady. There's no succession plan for Belichick. He's going to take it with him. He doesn't care. It's like the fall of Rome. You know what I mean? Roman emperors weren't worried about the next Roman emperor. They're worried about themselves.
Good point.
So I'm on board with McDaniels. I understand what you're saying. I think it's the best of a worst group of talent, but he's local.
Yeah. John Carroll, right? Or no?
John Carroll.
Yeah.
He actually wants to bring his buddy.
Who?
You didn't see that yet?
No.
He wants to bring the director of player personnel with him.
Oh, okay.
This might be a package deal. I saw this a week ago,
Oh, you
and I
mentioned
said,
that about
I'll
Dorsey
sign up
leaving,
for
too.
this. If this is already in play behind the scenes, they can go ahead and fire everybody and bring in this group.
Yeah.
They want to bring in the Patriots director of player personnel and their offensive coordinator from the past 15 years as a package deal. That's the only reboot I will accept.
Well, our defensive coordinator shouldn't be allowed in the building this
that
morning.
guy should be done with the NFL.
Yeah.
He's been as much a problem as anything.
Freddie was in over his head. There's no question about it. I'm so sad for him because he's such an awesome human being.
He is a great guy.
But that defense the defense
He
got
was
Freddie
embarrassing.
Kitchens fired.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, he went backwards. The whole offense back, all that shit.
They scored enough points to win 9 games.
No question.
There were-
defense sucked.
Yeah, there's equally as bad. The Buffalo Bills are an abomination of an offense, and Sean McDermott's getting treated like a genius
Right.
because their defense is so good that they don't have to score more than 17 points a game. The
Exactly.
Steelers almost got into the playoffs with Duck Hodges playing quarterback because their defense is so good.
Exactly right.
Tennessee Titans are, in my opinion, going to win a playoff game next week in New England because their defense is so good and they're getting adequate play from
Right.
Ryan Tannehill. It's no one looks at everything.
Freaking Eagles.
Yeah, same thing. Nobody looks at everything, the entire thing. The defensive coordinator has been an abomination for sure.
Ohio State had an interesting weekend. 2 second-ranked teams lose.
Yeah, that was no fun.
The football game, you can't give up a 99-yard drive. You can't give up a 94-yard drive, although the 99-yard drive was the punt running into the punter one, right?
A lot of funky stuff, man. They play that game 10 times, and I think Ohio State wins 7 of them.
At least.
That was
Yeah. The no catch, the no fumble, could have been the worst call I've literally ever seen, where he literally took 3 steps.
a lot of junk because he didn't pull the ball into his body while he's taking those steps. That ball's secure and it's in his hands. I don't understand the rules.
Hey, Danielle.
I don't really even care. Yeah. Not a great weekend.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And I thought that game, when they came over and scored, when they came back and scored, even after that bad call, they came back and scored. I said, this is over, and they gave up a 94-yard march. It was like, okay, well, I guess you don't deserve to win that game. Although, and I texted you in the game, and Dobbins had just dropped that pass going into the end zone to score. I said, well, he just worked himself in 1 quarter into the first round of the draft, but he's a little beast.
He's
man.
a monster. He also almost single-handedly lost that game for us between the 2 touchdown passes that he dropped.
2
for
players.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's
it was unfortunate.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Kids, you know.
Because
It's
without
hard.
him, they wouldn't have been in the game. So
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard. You watch college and, 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old. Feel bad.
yeah, and then we got the Indians to contend with. We're trying everything we can to get rid of every great player that we possibly can do.
Yeah, I don't even really – I'm not sure I care.
Yeah,
I'm digging down, and I think I've reached a level of apathy with them. Yeah.
It sucks. Pumped about the Cavs. They win 4 out of 5 to actually win 10 games for the year.
Didn't even know that.
They've won 4 out of their last 5 to get to 10 wins
Yeah.
for the year.
Didn't-
To get to 10.
Didn't know that.
They're so bad. They had 29 turnovers the other night and won. 29 turnovers in a game and won.
I'm on I think I'm on sports shutdown here for a while.
I'm done. I'm so sick of it, Joe.
Yeah.
I really can't handle it.
Find something better to do.
Yeah, I'm really sick of it. I'm really sick of it. I'm sick, and I really pull. I'm not anything close to the way you are, as passionate as you get about it. But even whatever amount of emotion I give to it is too much now. It's absolutely
Well, and it's gotten
if it makes me unhappy even a little bit, it's like, what am I doing? This is stupid.
And the real problem is it's changed so much even from when I was a kid where it was just about the
Yeah.
product on the field and you just watched the games and that was it. And you
Right.
didn't have all the coverage. It's so much of a soap opera now.
It is.
And that's why I follow it. It sucks you in, like WWE level sucks you in.
It does.
And I was texting with Brian over the weekend, and I'm watching the Ohio State game. I'm like, dude, I'm not a conspiracy theory. This is WWE level shit. This game looks scripted. After watching the blowout,
right?
I watched the first
Exactly
quarter of that
right.
game, and I'm like, well, we are considerably better than this team. Then I see it 16-0. Then I see the targeting call, and I'm like, dude, this is wonky. This
Right.
is dumb.
Right.
So who knows? You can ignore me there and put that aside, but you watch all the other crap that goes on and the drama and it's a business and blah, 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 and they really start taking some of the fun out of it. Whereas when I was a kid, and whether it's watching Sunday afternoon NBA on NBC
Exactly.
or sitting down at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon and watching the football game be played in natural grass with everybody mud all over their outfit, it's just not the same product anymore that it used to be. It's gotten too big.
It's not. Hey, Scott, we just talked about you here.
Yes, we did.
About an hour ago,
Yep.
whatever. How are you, dude? Hope things are good there at Lilliston. Yeah, it's bad. So we have the 10th pick in the draft, which is kind of weird.
It's crazy. I mean, if and again, you don't want to do this as a Browns fan because of the season you just came off of.
Yeah.
But if by some miracle they were able to find the right fit, whoever that may be, to actually be a leader for this team, and lost that game yesterday, and like you said, fell into the 10th pick, there's a pretty good chance that's going to turn into the number 1 tackle in the draft, or at worst, the number 2 tackle in the draft.
Absolutely.
You sign it. You do that and sign another offensive lineman. You've pretty much fixed the entire offensive side of the ball. But again,
Yeah.
all this comes down to having
You know
the
what?
right
The
leader
offensive
in place.
line at the end of halfway through the season, it didn't suck.
In spots,
They're not the biggest problem.
sure, but in spots. But I think it still just comes down to culture and effort. Yesterday was embarrassing. You couldn't even watch the game.
Horrible.
The Steelers game was embarrassing. And people want to rag on Baker Mayfield and he's seeing ghosts and he's skittish. He got slammed all year, man. I'd like to see his final visit with the team physicians and things he's going to do in the offseason to get his body back in line.
Oh, he's
'Cause
got
he
to
got
redo his
slammed.
body.
It's the same thing with Wentz. I watch the Eagles and I cringe every time I see Wentz
too.
get just smashed
Me
out
too.
there.
You know who a kid in the Clemson quarterback? He don't come out of this alive.
No, well,
That guy's gonna
that
get the
surprised me.
crap beat out of
So
him.
I don't get to watch them a lot, and I'm watching this kid. I know they say he's this and he's this and he's 220 pounds or whatever. I'm like, it doesn't matter
No, how
how big you are, right? I mean, it still takes its toll on you.
Yeah, he's going to get beat up.
So yeah, I understand what you're saying about the offensive line, but with the type of players they have and the offense and what they want the offense to be, it still has to be serviceable, and I don't see serviceable out there when I watch them.
It's crazy
Spots,
too.
consistent.
Number 1, 2 rusher in the NFL, 2,000-yard receivers.
Yeah.
And we still suck?
Yeah. Well, a lot of that was coaching and play calling. It's the touchdown interception thing, which means you're not performing in the red zone. The red zone performance was so bad.
Horrible.
And then it comes back more to the defense, what you're talking about, where it's such a quarterback and offense-driven league. It's the old adage, quarterback gets too much credit when they win and too much blame when they lose. And that's always the case.
I'd like to see what our average field position, the opponent's starting average field position was against where our starting field position was, because our defense sucked so bad. We were never pushing them back. Thank God we had this monster punter.
Yeah,
special
teams were awesome this year.
Yeah, but our defense just put us in a horrible position. I think it had a lot to do. It probably took, and they didn't score. I mean, what do we have? 1 defensive touchdown all year?
One.
They sucked.
Yep,
they sucked. Our corners, I guess, are okay. Our linebackers are I'm not in love.
It's hard to say. Again, I was thinking about this. It's Monday morning, and you think about stuff, and we're looking for a new coach. And I'm thinking about the podcast, and you said it before we even started. I don't even want to talk about sports.
Right.
It's gotten to the point where I don't like talking about the NFL because I feel like it is, because of how big it's gotten so complex, both at the executive level and then at the on-field level.
Right.
99% of the population has no flipping clue what they're talking about. And I'm not even talking about X's and O's and being able to identify the defense and the offense and what teams are actually trying to run schematically. Who the hell knows what kind of train wreck is going on in the executive offices of the Cleveland Browns?
We have zero clue.
It could be brutal. And it's nice. You get little tidbits. Ernie sat here and talked about how, because here's my example. I don't care who they hire as a coach, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about candidates because I don't frickin' know. Hugh Jackson was a home run. Yeah. I remember it.
Oh, the standing ovation when he walked in the building.
It was ESPN, everybody. Yep. This is a perfect hire.
Correct.
Doug Peterson, hired in the same cycle.
Dog shit. Yeah.
He was a decent backup.
They wanted to run him out halfway through the first year.
Right. So I look more at who's in charge of the search and who's going to be making the decision on this and why they're making the decision. I love Paul DePodesta, the Moneyball guy, and I would like for him to be involved in this because I'm just
he wanted McDaniel last time, I think.
He wanted Stefanski from Minnesota.
Oh, that's right.
He wanted McDermott, who's now in Buffalo. And that's who they recommended based on their research. Ernie talked about Howie Roseman identifying an emotionally intelligent leader when he found Doug Peterson.
Right.
There's so many football guys out there.
Right.
It's a
Laura used the term emotional intelligence.
Right. So you ask anyone who's been a PA, who's come up through the coaching ranks of the shit that you got to shovel to get to where these guys get. So many of them get to that next level. What I'm saying is there's a lot of guys out there that know football X's and O's.
Right.
The job has become so involved and so demanding, and the game has evolved so much in the things that they let quarterbacks and offensive lines do to where it's so hard to stop them.
Right.
It's more about having a true leader and identifying leadership qualities. And that's why we didn't see it when they hired Freddie Kitchens. We should have saw it. We should have seen this guy come out, listen to him talk and say, this is not a leader of men.
Right.
This is not someone who can go out there and tell 52 alpha males, here's what you're going to do and here's why you're going to do it, and they're going to go do it.
Right.
It's just... It's not going to happen. And you got to think, and it really is just a volume thing. It's the volume of money that's involved in the game. It's the volume of people on that team. Basketball, you're juggling what? 7 personalities, 8 personalities. The bench guys, you're not getting a lot of attitude from them.
Right.
And those are big egos, but
they're gone.
It's on a smaller scale, and it's a small team. It's like a small company. You know what I mean?
Right.
You guys are around each other all the time. These guys are off doing God knows what.
Right.
Then you got rules and regulations on how much time you can spend together in the off season.
Right.
Football has just become this massive, huge beast of it's like, I don't know.
Well, numbers do matter. It's like our society today. Our countries, it's challenging. You're talking about 330 million people. If we were a tribe of 100 people, some of this stuff wouldn't be going on.
Right.
Same thing in football as compared to, let's say, basketball. You got 15 people on the active roster as compared to 53 or 47 or whatever it is.
Right.
In football, it's more personalities, more people, more opportunity to get screwed up. The leadership's got to be
Just the
stronger,
whole
different,
thing.
more
You-
unique.
You talk about, there's divisions. Or there's different sects where you have offense, defense, special teams. You got the position groups. Other sports aren't like that.
Right.
So that's why I use football as a acronym or an analogy for a lot of the things in the business world, because it does break down.
Oh, no
to where
doubt.
You have to have delegation, division of labor,
Yep.
and accountability at every flipping level.
Yep.
And it does start with the owner. So
Yeah.
if you have a crap owner,
Yeah.
or he doesn't truly step out of the way and hire a legit president of operations that is the de facto owner of the actual football side of the operations and doesn't worry about the business crap,
Right.
I don't know how you win. I don't know how
Right.
you overcome that.
Well, that's the only way the Indians have stayed in contention all these years is because the owner's basically been crap, but he at least has left it up to
He won't spend money,
real
but yeah,
pros.
he makes good hires and it's kept them relevant.
Right.
Now,
And
again,
they keep
like I said,
training
they don't
each other.
Right. They don't make money, but they do stay competitive
Maybe.
in a
Who
small
knows?
market. Well, I don't mean they always, the owners always make money. That's a
Right.
farce.
Yeah.
They get tax write-offs for it, but I mean, people aren't coming to the games is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're not
getting New York Yankee money.
right.
Yeah. Frickin' Yankees. Jesus. That's just sickening.
Yeah, it's another conversation.
All right. Well, listen, son, what else we got? It's 3 hours worth of running our mouths. Jeez, unbelievable.
Sorry for talking about the Cleveland Browns, everybody.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I've somebody mentioned the other day how amazing it is. They really are just an anomaly within not just sports, but just the news cycle of how a team can work their way into the public eye and public news cycle without providing anything of any quality or substance on the actual football field for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's hard to go to ESPN or be involved in mainstream sports and media without hearing something once a month about the Cleveland frickin' Browns.
Right.
It blows my
the
mind.
fertility of
That's
the
that's why I
organization.
do start getting back to, I'm like, oh shit, is there something going on here? Is this the WWE? Are we just the
Right.
one of the sideshows
Right.
of this whole thing? Are we just fulfilling a role within their whole big orchestra?
by
It gets a little scary.
By accident.
That's what I mean. You would think eventually you would at least
Just an accident.
just make the playoffs.
right up.
It's
The Ravens
it's a little
with
bizarre.
what was that shitty quarterback they had?
Trent Dilfer, right?
Yeah. It's by accident.
Yeah,
Now, they had a dominating
Rex
defense,
Grossman
but-
made the
Rex
Super Bowl.
Grossman.
Yeah, it's pretty
Come
bizarre
on.
stuff.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll stop it on that note.
Yeah,
Listen, for myself, and then I'll let you finish it up, son. First of all, to our families, we love you. Merry Christmas, good Christmas. I was sick during it, but turned out okay. Happy New Year to our family. We have an awesome family. And to our AutoMax family, we love you guys so much. Each and every one of you. Everything that we do, everything that we have, everything that we are has everything to do with you all, and we love you and we respect you, and we're so happy that you're with us on this journey with AutoMax Recruiting. To my partners, Joe and Ernie, going to have a big Happy New Year, and I love you, of course, and your amazing babies. It was cool spending some time over at the house the other day. It's like. They're a trip, man. You said strong
Sure.
person, big personalities. Yeah, they're big personalities.
Yeah, a lot of
They're-
personality in my house.
They are unique young ladies. They're going to be, you guys, once I say this will be out there forever. 15, 20 years from now, whatever, 25 years from now, you're going to hear about these lockered girls. They're pretty freaking awesome, man. They're, wow. And it's not just because I'm their grandfather. They are pretty awesome. They're very, very smart, and they're on point. They have really good parents. But to our dealer clients out there, man, we love you guys. Keep up the good work. If you need us for anything, let us know. Our vendor friends, man, again, if we can help you, man, reach out. We have a lot of good friends in the vendor world. We'd love to be able to help you.
Sure. I had a great conversation with Velco last week, and
Yeah.
And we were just talking, you know. If he ends up needing us, that's cool.
Right.
If not, hopefully I explained a few things to him and he understands a little bit more about recruiting so that he can speak more knowledgeably to his clients and set the right expectations. I think his expectations were a little skewed, which leads to your client's expectations being skewed.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're a schmuck in their eyes when you're not a schmuck and you're doing everything right, and it's just you got the wrong expectations.
Right. And hey, Glenn Lundy, we've been following you up, dude. Reach out. 8,000%. You need help with that. So
always available, Glenn.
Yeah, reach out, Glenn. Follow up with us, dude. So shoot, second time I said to those of you that have backed the Recruiter podcast in our first what are we at? I don't know, 36, 37, 38 episodes, whatever it is. I forget, but hundreds of hours because they're all so long. We really appreciate you guys. We really do. We have an awesome audience, and thousands of people end up watching this on the replays and the downloads and so forth. So we're really appreciative of that. We're appreciative of All Systems Go AV here in Ben Salem, Pennsylvania.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you much. If you guys want to do, those of you that are listening, you're local, do a podcast. This is a great place to do it. Car dealers, if you want to do some legit professional video, I'm talking about professional video, reach out to these guys. They're absolutely awesome. Man, we got a lot of AutoMax people jumping on. Craig Nicholas, Uncle Mike, Jane, Danielle, Andy. You guys should be working.
You told him to
watching this podcast. So how about you there, son? What do you got to say?
No, I just want to say thanks. A lot of gratitude for this year. And just speaking specifically to the podcast, everyone kind of warned us, not warned, but told us, before we got started, anyone who had experience with podcasting is it's not going to be what you think it's going to be, but it will be something. If you put the time in and you come in and you're genuine and you're working with the right people, it'll be something significant, but it's totally not going to be what you expect to be. And I think that's a pretty good description of what the first year here has been.
No question.
It's not what I was expecting, but it has been cool. And I do appreciate everyone listening and watching because it is time out of your day, even if it's just on in the background. And hopefully people are getting something out of it. And then just, for 2020, I want, like I said, just go a little further, everybody. Don't be afraid. And this isn't a Trump thing. This isn't getting into things are greater and make America great. I'm not saying that. But look at the actual factual what's in front of you and the opportunity that everyone has right now in this country and the things that are available to you, and just go a step further and really, really max out your potential this year. That's what we're going to be doing internally. We're going to be working our best to provide that for our clients. Ernie's goal for 2020 is to be more of a consultant, be more of a partner, instead of just being commoditized and looked at as a recruiter. There's nothing wrong with being a recruiter, nothing wrong with being a recruiting company, but we do want our clients to understand that this is a partnership and it is something that you have to work at together, and we're not just throwing bodies at you. And there's, as you said, Dad, a massive importance that needs to be placed, and we're getting there, on human capital, and people need to understand that at the end of the day, it's a people business, and all businesses are, but especially the automotive industry. And if you're not taking care of your people, you're going to come up short.
No question about it. So
thanks, everybody. Honestly, all this, the podcast, the social media stuff, the Facebook, the likes, the support, everything, it's all part of who we are as a company, and it's all helped to get us where we are, and I really appreciate all of it.
We do. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, son. I love you.
Love you too, Dad.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Peace out. Woo. All right, then.
I gotta pee.